Chapter 114 Hints of Ambition. Chapter 114 Hints of Ambition. Drifting Flowers Edifice's guest hall was packed with delicacies and food for a feast. Huangpu Qingyan arrived with a crowd of retainers and sat in the seat of honor. It was the seat reserved for the leader. His action implied crass and open disrespect for Drifting Flowers Edifice. It could be even deemed as provocation, however. People found Huangpu Qingyan's act normal, treating him like an emperor. Chu Qingqing didn't mind at all. Now that he sat there, it wouldn't be long before he would help them. Elders, please take a seat. Don't be shy. Huangpu Qingyan acted as the host and gestured to the four profound heaven experts, carrying his sedan as they sat along with the guests. There seemed to be one table empty. Huangpu Qingyan asked the obvious. Why is there an empty table? Was the table count wrong, and the servers left it as so? Clear of his intention, Vicious Pill King snickered evilly. Second young master, it belongs to Sword Marquis' abode. He must be running late with important matters. If it is irksome, second young master, we might as well remove it. Everyone watched him coldly. Vicious Pill King was simply adding insult to injury. Everyone in the hall saw Huangpu Qingyan attack Xiet Tianyang from getting on his bad side. It was obvious that Xiet Tianyang was now taking care of his wound and did not come. They all guessed that this second young master was still irritated and brought up this topic. It is fine if you don't want to irk the second young master, but as a man from the seven houses, must you go so far to pour oil over the fire and present the chance to shame Sword Marquis' abode? And Huangpu Qingyan wasn't one to miss it. Elder Yen is right. The empty table is bothersome. Remove it from sight. Second young master, Sword Marquis' abode is one of the seven houses. Even absent, their table should remain. Sir's conduct of disgracing them might earn Sword Marquis' abode's displeasure. Long Jiu stood up, no longer having the patience to sit by and watch. Vicious Pill King squinted. And you think the Sword Marquis' abode would start a war over a table? This is not a matter of boldness, but the seven houses' sanctity. The seven noble houses shouldn't hold each other in such contempt. Humph, nice speech. Then let me ask you, Elder Jiu, in whose domain again did my elders get killed? This time it was Hell Valley's fifth elder who laughed coldly. I have no problems with anyone if no one gives me problems. Hell Valley dug its own grave. You got yourself to blame for that. What did you say, you blind old dog? Fifth elder snapped and slapped the table. Long Jiu squinted, staring back without fear. The feast had become a ticking time bomb ready to explode. They would have long had trade blows, if not for this place being Drifting Flowers Edifice. People, please calm down. This is neither Veiled Dragon Pavilion nor Hell Valley. It is not a stage for you to settle your grudges. Lin Zetian wiped his sweat as he urged, if not for Drifting Flowers Edifice, then for the second, younger master. Restrain yourselves. The two turned their attention to Huangpu Qingyan. He was smiling slightly, but his eyes were anything but pleased, as if to remind them this was his welcoming feast. You dare cause trouble at my feast? The two muttered and cupped their hands towards him before sitting back down. Huangpu Qingyan laughed. That's better. The seven houses are one big, happy family. There's no need to argue over a table. Moreover, this is Drifting Flowers Edifice, and it is their decision if the table stays or not. Huangpu Qingyan turned to stare to Chu Qingqing, who nodded. Sword Marquis' abode is Drifting Flowers Edifice's guest, and should have a table. Frowning slightly, Huangpu Qingyan's eyes flashed with disappointment, but laughed nonetheless. All will be done as Qingqing said. This is your domain after all. Thank you, Qingyan. Chu Qingqing nodded curtly, not detecting Huangpu Qingyan's change in expression. Meanwhile, the Vicious Pill King had an evil smile at her expense. Humph, dumb broad. You have no clue of the second young master's intention. Drifting Flowers Edifice deserves what's coming to it. Then the table will stay, he declared, but when Huangpu Qingyan saw two figures passing by, he smirked. However, it's only an empty table. The two outside. How about you come join me for a drink? Zhuo Fan and Xiao Dandan were about to go to their rooms. When they heard his shout, Xiao Dandan was distraught over what to do and looked at Zhuo Fan since the guest hall was filled with elders. This was something the cherished disciple of Peony Overseer had never participated in then. She secretly laughed at her as she took a look at Zhuo Fan. If she, a Drifting Flowers Edifice disciple, panicked, what about him, who was a third-rate clan's young master? Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan was completely opposite. He was cool as a cucumber, taking her hand as he walked with a steady gait. Does this man fear no one? Not her master, not her senior aunt, not even Regent Estate's second young master, Huangpu Qingyan. In a blink, Xiao Dandan was charmed as she looked at Zhuo Fan. She didn't seem to wake up from her charmed state, even when they were standing in the middle of the guest hall. Her love-struck gaze was there, open for all to see. Two sudden, killing glares landed on the two. Xiao Dandan shuddered and found one to be from Mary Woods's Lin Tianyu seated next to Lin Zitian, the other from Yan Fu, sitting next to Vicious Pill King. Their lips moved yet no words came out. But the word they mimicked was the same. Slut, they would have long shouted curses if it were not for Huangpu Qingyan's presence, sizing the couple up. Huangpu Qingyan laughed. What a perfect match. Could you introduce yourselves? Ah, I am Xiao Dandan from Peony Edifice. Greetings, second young master. Xiao Dandan was tense in her greeting. Zhuo Fan raised an eyelid and stated, Sun Yu from the Song Clan, a third-rate clan of Nitrain City. A third-rate. Huangpu Qingyan raised an eyebrow. Such a rare occurrence for a third-rate clan young master to become Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law. People, please sit there. The hell, son-in-law? When have I become Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law? Zhuo Fan was in deep thought to only be jerked awake by Xiao Dandan, who had reddened cheeks. Chu Qingqing stood at once. Qingyan, you can't. That is Sword Marquis Abode's table. It is not for juniors. Yes, second young master, they do not qualify to sit there. Peony Overseer stood as well, paid her respect to Huangpu Qingyan, then berated the two. What are you two standing around for? Leave. Huangpu Qingyan waved his hand. His face became gloomy. Qingqing, I agreed to not take Sword Marquis Abode's table, but now I can't even have two guests? You are slighting me. Chu Qingqing stammered. She watched Huangpu Qingyan's cold face and realized she no longer knew him. Zhuo Fan understood at once. If a third-rate clan young master and Drifting Flowers Edifice's disciple took that table, it would bring utter humiliation to Sword Marquis Abode. Huangpu Qingyan was doing it on purpose. Differentiating between those who fawned over him and those who disregarded him, the problem revolved around a mere table. But it was an allusion to a question of obedience. Looks like Regent Estate's people are a cut above the 6 houses, and so is their appetite. They want to unify the 7 houses. I need to move fast and secure some elders for the Luo clan. When the 7 houses unite, the Tianyu Empire will be plunged into chaos. Zhuo Fan didn't wait for their argument to finish, as he already sat at the table. The people were stunned. What gall the brat has! This will be a shame for Sword Marquis Abode. Kid, you better be careful where you sit, lest you invite death. Long Jiu warned him with a cold eye. Zhuo Fan watched him calmly. Grandpa Jiu, be careful to not have your clan ruined with what you say. The people were twitching. He doesn't have just gall, he's mad. He even threatened veiled dragon pavilions, Long Jiu. Only Huangpu Qingyan watched Zhuo Fan with admiration beside shock. He could now see how a third-rate clan young master became Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law. Long Jiu's I shivered from emotion and shock. After a long time, he cupped his hands in gratitude. Thank you, young master, for reminding me. Then sat quietly. This caused an even bigger shock. Not only was Huangpu Qingyan and his expert startled, even Long Jie and Long Kuei next to Long Jiu were perplexed. The Grand Elder Jiu of Veiled Dragon Pavilion was cowed by a nameless brat. How is this possible? But no one noticed Long Jiu was moved to tears. His soul-devouring crow was also flapping its wings in excitement. Chapter 115, Isolated. Chapter 115, Isolated. Watching the soul-devouring crow's jubilation, Zhuo Fan perked the corner of his mouth, knowing that Long Jiu recognized him. After all, he used to address Long Jiu with Grandpa Jiu the first time they met. Furthermore, unlike those that addressed him as Grandpa Jiu, Zhuo Fan's haughty tone made it undoubtedly clear to Long Jiu as to who he was. None of the people there understood what happened. Their eyes darting from one to another in hesitation, a third-rate clan kid dared speak nonsense to a veiled dragon pavilion's elder. Odd. The elder in question not only did not rebuke, but looked relaxed. Odder on top of that. There seemed to be some underlying meaning in it, which was baffling to them. This cast many doubts upon the guests. But before they could pry, a sneer resounded. Humph! Drifting Flowers Edifice is so thoughtful to let some pipsqueak have a table. To everyone's shock, Xia Tianyang had been standing at the entrance, unbeknown to them. Meanwhile, Jian Suifeng's face had turned ashen. The exclusion of Sword Marquis's abode from the Seven Houses feast was utter humiliation. Chu Qingqing cried, urging Zhuo Fan. Who told you to sit? Leave at once. Qingqing, did you forget? It was I who invited them. Huangpu Qinyin smiled at her, but his deeper meaning pricked at Sword Marquis's abode. Isn't it a waste to have an empty table? I have welcomed the two disciples to make better use of it. It is not a place for a dog to sit in after all. Humph! Since the second young master does not put Sword Marquis's abode in his eyes, we shall be taking our leave then. Farewell. Xia Tianyang waved his sleeve and left this time. Jian Suifeng didn't stop him, going after him with a stern face. There was no compromise when it came to the matter of Sword Marquis's abode's dignity. Even if it meant offending the other 6 houses, Chu Qingqing became anxious. It was Huangpu Qingyin who did this, but Drifting Flowers Edifice was the host. With Xia Tianyang returning humiliated, wouldn't Sword Marquis's abode put all the blame on Drifting Flowers Edifice? In this moment of crisis, Drifting Flowers Edifice should be making friends, not offending others left and right. Young Master Xia, please wait. This is the fault of our Drifting Flowers Edifice. Please forgive me. I will be arranging a table shortly to apologize. Chu Qingqing cried in panic. Xia Tianyang paused and turned. Chu Qingqing was willing to lower herself and apologize. This was enough for Sword Marquis's abode to keep their dignity. It wouldn't be proper to be obstinate, however. Noticing Huangpu Qingyun's mocking grin, Xia Tianyang's anger flared and spoke coldly. Edifice Lord Chu, since you have the powerful regent estate to lean on, you needn't degrade yourself. I am unfortunate to say that the small and meager Sword Marquis's abode cannot accept your apology. Xia Tianyang left this time for good. Chu Qingqing sighed. How could she not get his meaning? Drifting Flowers Edifice chose to rely on Regent Estate in their hour of most desperate need. This in turn alienated the other houses. She didn't know if this was the right path, but she began to feel that Drifting Flowers Edifice was becoming more and more isolated. Even their longtime friend, Long Jiu, could only sigh at this if she couldn't even preserve the dignity of her guests. What's to have them return a second time? Huangpu Qingyin was immensely pleased and showed it in his smile. His eyes drifted to Vicious Pill King, who nodded and showed a crafty glint. Zhuo Fan took it all in and cried inside, "Damn it! This is Huangpu Qingyun's plan, to isolate Drifting Flowers Edifice." When Drifting Flowers Edifice was gone, the next to follow would be Sword Marquis's abode and Veiled Dragon Pavilion, who refused to acknowledge their might. And when the 7 houses were under one banner, the Luo clan would fall. Zhuo Fan squinted his eyes as he yelled, "Brother Xia, there are more seats here. If you do not mind, let's squeeze together and join the feast." Humph! An insignificant noisy brat dares call me brother? Are you freakin' worthy of it? Sitting next to you would throw the 7 houses' honor down the drain. Xia Tianyang snorted inside as he clenched his teeth. This rotten Drifting Flowers Edifice has gone too far. Since when can a third-rate clan kid yell at me? Xie Tianyang didn't even turn around, so Zhuo Fan scratched his nose as he shouted, "Coward! Are you that scared of sitting next to me?" The fierce tone rang in everyone's ears. Everyone was dazed, even Huang Pu Qingyan. They were too out of it to even react. Blast it! This punk is a madman among lunatics. The nerve of this brat! He first threatened Elder Jiu, and now he was calling Sword Marquis Abode's young master a coward? Did he yearn for death that much? Elder Jiu didn't retaliate because of seniority. With his power, striking against a junior in front of everyone would be too shameful, while Xie Tianyang was a rash youth. You think he'd let you off after this public humiliation? The Drifting Flowers edifice won't say anything even if you do end up dead. Iris Overseer held her forehead, Peony Overseer sighed. Chu Qingqing gnashed her teeth with tightened fists. She was itching to tear him to pieces, this rotten brat. Here he goes again, thinking with his brawn. Vicious Pill King's disciple and Mary Wood's disciple were enjoying the show with cold smiles. Edifice Lord Chu, this is too much even if you rely on Regent Estate. Do you want to slight Sword Marquis Abode so much? Jian Suifeng snorted in anger as his body exudes power. Chu Qingqing rushed to diffuse the misunderstanding. Please calm down, Eighth Elder. This is a misunderstanding. This child speaks without thinking. I will deal with this personally. Chu Qingqing glared at Zhuo Fan and berated, Songyu, what are you waiting for? Apologize. A small smile played on Zhuo Fan's lips as he looked at Xie Tianyang's back shivering. Xie Tianyang turned around jerkily, eyeing Zhuo Fan with rage but also shock. He then strode before Zhuo Fan. Young Master Xie, please, he is but a child. Please don't lower yourself to his level. Chu Qingqing was nervous. Yet Yuan Qi gathered in her palms she would have no choice but to interfere if Xie Tianyang moved in for the kill. Xiao Dandan jumped in front of Zhuo Fan as she nervously said, Young Master Xie, he is my fiancé, one of Drifting Flowers' edifice. His error will be dealt with by Drifting Flowers' edifice. Please don't let anger control you. Ignoring her, Xie Tianyang only calmly walked to Zhuo Fan's table, however, outside of everyone's expectation. The two didn't jump at each other's throat. Xie Tianyang just landed his but on the chair next to Zhuo Fan and poured himself a drink before downing the glass. Then stared at Zhuo Fan's face, not fully convinced as he laughed. Ha ha ha, good wine. Of course. Drifting Flowers edifices. Wine is made by the young and charming ladies. Since you're here, brother, let's have drinks all round. Zhuo Fan filled his cup and Xie Tianyang nodded. Sitting there as if nothing happened, everyone's eyes were bulging out of their sockets. Even Jian Suifeng was dumbstruck. Xie Tianyang's reckless temper flared even before the likes of Huang Pu Qingyan from the Regent Estate. Why was he casually drinking wine with a man who just cursed him? He didn't understand. The others even more, so having the show cut short, the others were stunned. Chu Qingqing was also dumbfounded. Her hands relaxing, she couldn't understand what trick Zhuo Fan pulled to calm Sword Marquis Abode's young master's anger. Xie Tianyang, didn't you say sitting at that table is beneath you? Huang Pu Qingyan was disappointed as he spoke, coldly laughing. Xie Tianyang waved off his reproach. I do, but not with a brother who I appreciate. Xie Tianyang and Zhuo Fan clinked glasses, just like drinking buddies. Jian Suifeng awkwardly sat next to Xie Tianyang, not quite able to wrap his head around his young master. Tianyang. Ha ha ha, Eighth Elder sit. Sharing a table with this brother will not disgrace Sword Marquis Abode in the slightest. Xie Tianyang waved his hand, pulling Jian Suifeng to sit. Jian Suifeng watched Zhuo Fan. Befuddled seeing peace restored, Chu Qingqing relaxed also. Her pretty eyes landed on Zhuo Fan with gratitude. Zhuo Fan raised a glass in her honor and lifted an eyebrow. Chu Qingqing glared at him, but they held no anger. It was the same as when a big sis smacked her little brother over the head. A love tap. Qingqing. Huang Pu Qingyun's, I grew cold. severely irked by Zhuo Fan's action of diffusing the conflict between Drifting Flowers edifice and Sword Marquis' abode. However, Chu Qingqing did not notice. So she urged, "Qingyin, it was hard to gather all the 7 houses before the 100-pill meeting, as you can see. So, don't be so hard on young Master Xia." "Ha ha ha, how could I? I came because of you after all." His eyes flashing, Huangpu Qingyin spoke, "Let's begin. Now that all houses are here, let us settle the matter between Drifting Flowers edifice and Pilking Hall." Chu Qingqing was happy. With Regent Estate standing here, that old dog will have to give up the antidote. What she didn't know, however, was that vicious Pilking was also anticipating this. Chapter 116, Ruthless Betrayal. Chapter 116, Ruthless Betrayal. P. 4553R. Clap. At the sharp clap, everyone turned to Chu Qingqing. She smiled and eyed the vicious Pilking. "On this occasion, with all 7 houses gathered here, I would like everyone to bear witness to one matter of mine." She stared vicious Pilking down with a cold gaze. "Yen Song, it is time to end our grudges today." "Ha ha ha, what grudges do you speak of? I do not understand. Have I perhaps turned up uninvited?" Vicious Pilking stroked his beard, squinting. Chu Qingqing continued, "Yen Song, stop faking it. The elders of the 7 houses are here, and so is Regent Estate's 2nd young master. You won't leave this place until you give up the Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote." Iris Overseer and Peony Overseer stood up also, ready to strike at a moment's notice. The others kept silent. Watching the events unfold, they knew of this grudge between them for a long time. This time, however, Drifting Flowers edifice invited Regent Estate to mediate and press down on Pilking Hall. Vicious Pilking would have no choice but to comply in his presence, yet, just when the 2nd young master ought to speak, he remained unusually quiet. The people ignored Chu Qingqing and vicious Pilking, turning their gazes to Qingqing because they all knew he was the one who had the final say, who was right and who was wrong, who failed and who won. All rested on this man's shoulders. Huangpu Qingyin smiled towards vicious Pilking. "Ha ha ha, Elder Yen, if you truly poison Drifting Flowers edifice's disciples, there is no harm in providing the antidote, and keep it cordial. He, 2nd young master, is right." Snickering, vicious Pilking cupped his hands at Huangpu Qingyin, but his sinister eyes stared right at Chu Qingqing. "I have indeed hurt your overseers, but I am unable to provide the antidote." "Yen Song, the nerve of you! You won't even listen to the Regent Estate? Do I have to bother His Majesty for you to drop this matter?" Chu Qingqing shouted, but Huangpu Qingyin lightly waved it off. "His Highness is terribly occupied and has no time to mind us. 7 houses. Even after what happened in Wingay City between Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Hell Valley, His Highness rebuked them both. Not only they, but even the other houses were given a warning. Wingay City has now become a restricted area for us." When Huangpu Qingyin pointed this out, Long Jiao and Hell Valley's 5th elder started glaring at each other. Zhuo Fan sneered inside. Knowing where this was going for the Regent Estate to unify the 7 houses, they must have all of the houses' affairs under their control. Wouldn't it become a mere figurehead as the leader of the 7 houses if the other houses turned to the Emperor for mediation? Humph! They move quite quickly when it comes to grabbing power. So this is the true ambition of Regent Estate. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed coldly. Chu Qingqing took a deep breath to calm her anger. "Qingyin, you are right, but this old dog—" "Leave it to me." Huangpu Qingyin held his hand in interruption and spoke to vicious Pilking. "Elder Yen, taking your current stance is tantamount to slighting Regent Estate. Don't you see me sitting here?" "Ha ha ha, the 2nd young master misunderstands. The truth is, I cannot provide the antidote." Vicious Pilking cupped his hands and smiled. "But shouldn't what a certain thief stole be returned first?" What do you mean?" Huangpu Qingyin raised an eyebrow, his voice odd grinning. Vicious Pilking looked at Chu Qingqing in askance, speaking with a sly smile. "Edifice Lord Chu, I'm sure you haven't forgotten of that devil Chu Qingtian. Shivering, tears welled in Chu Qingqing as she clenched her fists. Bottomless rage and overflowing killing intent surged. The people were shocked, having witnessed Chu Qingqing so out of control for the first time, sneering. Vicious Pill King added, Drifting Flowers Edifice had once sent that devil, Chu Qingtian, to become my disciple. I found him smart and imparted some of my teachings. In the end, he stole Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote formula. His strength was lacking when refining it and died, while also poisoning many overseers in the process. How can this be my fault? Yeah, he was my senior brother meant to inherit the master's legacy. But he was driven by delusions of grandeur and betrayed us despite our good relations. He got his just deserts when he thought too highly of himself. He was blind to believe he could refine the antidote only to fail. Yen Fu was mocking them now. The only thing I admire about my senior brother is his talent in alchemy. As for his moral character, he was too arrogant, repaying gratitude with enmity and hurting Drifting Flowers Edifice. It can be said he was impudent. Shut up! Chu Qingqing's anger flared and her eyes reddened as she watched the evil pair. The others jerked in fright, throwing a disdainful gaze at her. Vicious Pill King snorted. Second young master, if this happened in Regent Estate, would you give your spy the antidote? You're right. Huangpu Qingyan nodded. Everyone's eyes were on him in a split second. It was Drifting Flowers Edifice who asked for him. So what was he doing sticking up for Pill King Hall? Only Zhuo Fan knew this was coming, calmly tasting the fine wine. Second young master, there's a reason behind this matter. At that time, Pill King Hall attacked our edifice lord. Iris, overseer, hurried to explain, but Vicious Pill King cut her off. Humph, there are plenty of arguments among the 7 houses. But does this garner sending a spy to another house? Going by your words, won't that make Hell Valley filled with Veiled Dragon Pavilion's people? And Veiled Dragon Pavilion teeming with Hell Valley spies as well? Elders began nodding at this in the case of small arguments. They were resolved openly. Sending spies was too demeaning and shameful for the 7 houses' prestige. Iris Overseer was flustered, while Chu Qingqing was almost lost in her rage. Her eyes bore hatred towards Yen Song. Wanting to eat him alive, that's enough. Since I and the house's elders are here, I will be the judge and you witnesses in dissolving this grievance. Huangpu Qingyun's shout drowned the 2 sides bickering. Everyone nodded. Huangpu Qingyun turned to the Vicious Pill King, to which Yen Song cupped his hands. I leave everything in the second young master's hands. Turning to Chu Qingqing, she let out a ragged breath and nodded. Huangpu Qingyun came at her request and believed he would side with Drifting Flowers Edifice. Huangpu Qingyun's eyes flashed pleased. With both sides in agreement, then I will state my verdict. Do not object it, or it will mean a challenge to Regent Estate. Yes. Chu Qingqing and Vicious Pill King nodded good. Elder Yen, you are to give the Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote to the Drifting Flowers Edifice. Huangpu Qingyun shouted, and Chu Qingqing was happy, but Huangpu Qingyun followed up on a cold tone. However, Drifting Flowers Edifice was the first in the wrong. To be fair, Elder Yen may choose any one item from Drifting Flowers Edifice as compensation. This caused a widespread shock. Everyone knew what Yen Song coveted the most. Drifting Flowers Edifice refused to bargain this treasure with him, or they would have long have traded it. Huangpu Qingyun's verdict sounded fair, but it leaned towards Yen Song in a blink. They all understood, flickering their eyes from one to another. Chu Qingqing was even more shocked. She noticed Yen Song's cunning smile and came to realize it was a trap all along. They planned this from the start. Second young master's verdict is fair. I wholly agree. Vicious Pill King laughed. Then I won't be shy and choose Bodhi root. Impossible. Chu Qingqing snorted. The Drifting Flowers Edifice's sacred treasure won't be yours. Qingqing, you are the one who asked me to mediate. I have given my verdict, and now you refuse? Are you mocking me? Huangpu Qingyun barked. Everyone knew Huangpu Qingyun didn't come to help Chu Qingqing. But the Peking Hall, with this excuse, Regent Estate drove itself between Peking Hall and Drifting Flowers Edifice. If Drifting Flowers Edifice didn't hand over Bodhi Root, they would have to face not only Peking Hall, but the dreaded and mighty Regent Estate, the strongest of the 7 houses if Regent Estate moved. No other house dared to help Drifting Flowers Edifice before Drifting Flowers Edifice could drive out the vicious wolf. They brought in a tiger. There was no going back. Now Chu Qingqing glared at Huangpu Qingyun with tears in her eyes. She never thought possible the one she rested her last hope on, her childhood sweetheart, would ruthlessly betray her. Iris Overseer and Peony Overseer were enraged. Glaring at him with bitter hatred, the one they hated the most was now Huangpu Qingyun, the betrayer, as if unable to look his former sweetheart in the eyes. Huangpu Qingyun turned his head and sighed. Qingqing, don't be so obstinate. This is all for Drifting Flowers Edifice's sake. Bullshit. What would be left of Drifting Flowers Edifice if the Bodhi root is gone? Peony Overseer's temper flared and cursed him. How will you call yourself Drifting Flowers Edifice if everyone is dead? Huangpu Qingyun snorted. We agreed before to not contest my verdict. Accept it or suffer the wrath of Regent Estate. Peony Overseer turned mute. Chu Qingqing and Iris Overseer were falling in despair. However, a sneer echoed around. Young Master Huangpu, if my ears didn't fail me, you said you came to mediate and let the elders bear witness. Now that you have given your verdict, isn't it the elders' turn to judge its fairness? This shocked everyone, turning to find the brazen man who dared contest Regent Estate. Chapter 117, Lifeline. Chapter 117, Lifeline. The people saw Zhuo Fan casually holding his glass as he nursed his wine. He didn't look afraid at all, having just contested against Huangpu Qingyun. Humph! You dare interrupt the matter between Drifting Flowers Edifice and Peking Hall? Huangpu Qingyun glared Zhuo Fan, shook his head, and embraced Xiao Dandan, lifting a taunting eyebrow at Huangpu Qingyun. I am now part of Drifting Flowers Edifice and have the right to speak for it. What goddamn right do you have for spouting bullshit? Impudent! Huangpu Qingyun's fury resulted in unleashing his power, launching a sudden palm attack. Not even Zhuo Fan would dare take a palm backed by a second layer of profound heaven cultivator. However, he didn't look the slightest bit worried. He knew someone would save him. A white silk ribbon seized the palm. He turned to see the cold Chu Qingqing staring back. Qingqing, what's the meaning of this? Are you violating the agreement? Huangpu Qingyun squinted. Chu Qingqing spat through gnashed teeth. Song Yu's words are correct. Second young master has given his verdict, and now it is the elders' turn to judge its fairness. I am sure the great second young master is a man of his word. After muttering to himself, Huangpu Qingyun snorted in anger. Fine, then let the elders decide. His power flashed, and the white silk ribbon on his hand was torn to shreds as he returned to his seat. His cold eyes gleamed over the crowd. Tell me, is my verdict right or wrong? The hearts of everyone seized. They shook their heads, then glared at Zhuo Fan. Does a Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law have to go this far for them? Now you threw the ball in our court. Won't uttering a single word earn Regent Estate's rage? Mulling for a moment, Hell Valley's fifth elder stood up laughing. Ha ha ha. Second young master's verdict was indeed fair. I have no objection. Fifth elder is wise. Second young master, I second him. Vicious Pill King smiled at Huangpu Qingyun after seeing Peony Overseer's riveting gaze. Then Huangpu Qingyun's, Marywood's Lin Zetian, cupped his hands. I accept second young master's verdict wholly. Huangpu Qingyun nodded, pleased, and Peony Overseer was prepped to blow. No man is worthy. They speak sweet nothings and then abandon you in your hour of need. You damn two-faced. I will never forget this, Lin Zetian. Peony Overseer's eyes burned with towering flames of rage, her breath ragged in a desperate attempt to hold it in. Meanwhile, Lin Zetian simply avoided her gaze as matters stand. 3 of the 7 houses approved of Huangpu Qingyun's verdict. Only one more was needed to set it in stone. Drifting Flowers edifice was fully against it, but even they had no choice in the matter, pushed against the wall. None of the elders desired to fall alongside Drifting Flowers edifice and offend Regent Estate Huangpu Qingyun had a pleased smile when he saw Chu Qingqing's sour face. He turned to Long Jiu. Next, Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Elder Jiu. State your stance. Taking a deep breath, Long Jiu thought it over. He saw Chu Qingqing's hopeful gaze and Huangpu Qingyun's towering arrogance. Sighing, he shook his head. Second young master, I also believe you are Ko-Dash. Chu Qingqing was ashen, and Huangpu Qingyun was beaming from happiness. Then Zhuo Fan pursed his lips, casually saying, Grandpa Jiu, choose your words wisely. The hell? This punk is threatening Elder Jiu again? Zhuo Fan's tone was flat, but all knew its meaning. What shocked the people present was his balls to disrespect Long Jiu again and again. He may be a junior to Long Jiu, but doing it a second time was testing Veiled Dragon Pavilion's patience. If Long Jiu didn't strike, it would be an affront to their reputation. Hee, Long Jiu, you've been berated once again by a mere junior, yet still do not retaliate. You have quite the mild temper, it seems. Hell Valley's 5th elder seized the chance to mock him. Long Kuei and Long Jia glared at Zhuo Fan, though Long Jiu didn't care. All his focus was on what to say next. Looking at Zhuo Fan again, he noticed the deep determination his eyes hid. Long Jiu then gnashed his teeth. Fine then, I'll gamble. Second young master, I believe you are partial. Drifting Flowers edifice may have been the first to be in the wrong, but taking their precious treasure from them is the same as cutting off their future. It is no different than destroying them. Long Jiu cupped his hand and shouted, though his head was soaked in sweat. His words smacked Regent Estate in the face. His stance would have a great impact on the way Regent Estate would treat Veiled Dragon Pavilion in the future, but he had more faith in Zhuo Fan. He saw it with his own eyes in Wingaze City. Each of Zhuo Fan's decisions was always correct shock beyond belief. No one saw this coming. This wasn't just siding with Drifting Flowers edifice. It was going against Regent Estate Chu Qingqing, and the other 2 overseers offered their thanks again and again. Long Jiu gave a bitter smile as he slumped in his chair. He had no idea if this would promise blessings or spell doom. Huangpu Qingyun disregarded Long Jiu and stared at Zhuo Fan. He made the Grand Elder Jiu change his decision. Just who the hell was he? Indeed, Huangpu Qingyun discovered Long Jiu had already made up his mind of forsaking Drifting Flowers edifice. However, those few words from Zhuo Fan set Veiled Dragon Pavilion against Regent Estate. Who in God's name is he? He has greater sway than even me. In fact, he wasn't the only one who noticed. Everyone else there realized this, but chose to abstain from revealing it. Yet their eyes never left Zhuo Fan. Chuckling inside, Zhuo Fan kept drinking with Xie Tianyang like best buds. What of Sword Marquis's abode? What is your opinion? Huangpu Qingyun turned his cold eyes to Jian Suifeng Xie Tianyang, however patted Jian Suifeng before he could rise and laughed. 8th elder, let me handle this. Tianyang, this concerns the future of Sword Marquis's abode. You must. I know. Xie Tianyang waved his warning off, sneering at Huangpu Qingyun with a slanted look, then toasted with Zhuo Fan again. Kid, I find you really familiar. Are you really a son-in-law to Drifting Flowers edifice? Yep. Rolling his eyes, Zhuo Fan didn't know what he was going for and nodded. Then prove it by kissing your wife. Xie Tianyang laughed as he pointed at Xiao Dandan. She went beet red in a flash. Her heart raced, going a mile a minute, and stole glances at Zhuo Fan. The latter glared at Xie Tianyang and cursed softly. What are you playing at, punk? Wanna fight? Xie Tianyang just stated, "Hey now, I know you want my favor. So do what I say, or I don't know which side to choose." What? This made everyone hold their breaths. Jian Suifeng was close to exploding. In this critical moment, when one word could decide the future of their house, he was playing around. "Tianyang!" Jian Suifeng shouted, "Eighth Elder, believe me. I know what I'm doing." Xie Tianyang showed a reassuring glance. Jian Suifeng had never before seen him look so serious. He nodded in the end and chose to believe this disciple. He won't be damning the house over a game, right? Fine, Xie Tianyang. Zhuo Fan clenched his fists and was itching to wipe that grin off Xie Tianyang's face with his fists. But he chose to endure, glaring at him. "I will obey your order." Zhuo Fan embraced Xiao Dandan and French kissed the girl in front of the whole crowd. Xiao Dandan's mind went blank. When he saw Xie Tianyang's ridiculously pleased grin, Zhuo Fan couldn't help but curse. "Pervert, what are you happy about? If you want a woman, go find your own." "Ha ha ha, I already have, you know. Once I tell her, she will hate you forever." Xie Tianyang laughed and slapped the table in joy. Everyone watched Sword Marquise, Abode's young master, in a daze. They didn't know what he was saying, but one thing was certain. The two knew each other meanwhile. Only Zhuo Fan knew this. He was referring to was Xue Ningxiang shaking his head. Zhuo Fan sighed. "Make your choice then." "All right, brother. I choose you." Xie Tianyang could barely hold his glee as he turned to Huangpu Qingyun and taunted with his eyebrows. "Second young master, I absolutely positively refute your so-called fairness. That is why Sword Marquise Abode believes your verdict is wrong." Huangpu Qingyun clenched his fists in rage. His eyes bored through Xie Tianyang. "You have gall. Just you wait." Xie Tianyang lifted his head in confidence. Ready to fight back with this, the verdict was a tie. Chu Qingqing was overjoyed and expressed her thanks to Xie Tianyang. She then said to Huangpu Qingyun, "Since the second young master's verdict could not gain the 7 houses elders' approval, it is vetoed." "Who said it is? Have you forgotten about us, the Regent Estate?" Huangpu Qingyun snorted. I have never heard of giving a verdict and vote also. Regent Estate's vote is invalid from the start." Zhuo Fan sneered, gnashing his teeth. Huangpu Qingyun glared at him. If he had killed Zhuo Fan when he had the chance, Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquise Abode would have abstained, and Drifting Flowers Edifice would have easily fallen. "Damn punk! I will kill you myself." Huangpu Qingyun glared murderously at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan noticed and smiled. "If the second young master is unsatisfied with this conclusion, I have a proposition. Elder Yen gives the antidote, and he is free to pick anything from Drifting Flowers Edifice, besides Bodhi Root. No, only Bodhi Root matters to me." Vicious Pill King brushed his sleeve in anger. Zhuo Fan perked the corner of his mouth as if he was expecting this. "That may not be off the table as you might think, just that you can't have it so easily. It will all depend on you." "What are you getting at?" Vicious Pill King asked simple. "The 100 pill meeting is about to start, and the prize shall be the Bodhi Root. The winner will have all rights to claim it." "All right, let's see if anyone can contest my alchemy skill." "Ha ha ha," Vicious Pill King cackled. Thinking he had it in the bag, Huangpu Qingyun muttered for a while, then agreed, while Chu Qingcheng and the rest were filled with worry. Who could beat Vicious Pill King in alchemy? It seemed like a lifeline for Drifting Flowers Edifice, but it didn't seem to make much of a difference than before. Chapter 118, Joint Plan. Chapter 118, Joint Plan. With both sides coming to an accord, the intricate feast had reached its end. What people found strange was Pill King Hall and Regent Estate converting about conditions, not with Drifting Flowers Edifice's lord, but Zhuo Fan, the Drifting Flowers Edifice's son-in-law, in a land where women ruled. Their fate was ultimately in the hands of a man. This was one irony some people couldn't get enough of, but the real irony was that Zhuo Fan was a fake son-in-law, only known by the overseers. And this man was the one who spoke for the drifting flowers. Edifice Peony Overseer and Iris Overseer exchanged a glance, their hearts bitter. As this was all said and done, any regret now would be wasted breath besides the fact the elders of the 7 houses were witnessing this, who'd be able to change it now that Pilking Hall and Regent Estate grasped such a huge advantage. They could only blame themselves for trusting Regent Estate. They gave Huangpu Qingyan so many of their treasures to bring him here, only to be closer to losing their very last and most important one when the elders left, taking care of their affairs. Chu Qingqing called for Huangpu Qingyan, the last man to leave. Wait! Chu Qingqing's face was frosty, her eyes cold. Huangpu Qingyan paused but didn't turn around. Not far away, Vicious Pilking also paused and looked at the two. Why? Chu Qingqing said. Huangpu Qingyan's lip moved but started with a sigh. Qingqing, I have given you a chance, but you didn't take it. Chu Qingqing frowned. In any case, this is all in your house's interest, and neither of us can change it. If only Drifting Flowers Edifice would have been more behaved, you'd have never come to witness today. Huangpu Qingyan's eyes flashed with regret and strode away with his 4 profound heaven experts in Chu Qingqing's moment of loss. Vicious Pilking crept over with a vicious smile. Edifice Lord, you've been wrong in your assumptions this time. The ones who want the Bodhi root isn't Pilking Hall but Regent Estate. What? Chu Qingqing was startled. That old bat didn't tell you? Regent Estate had long demanded the Bodhi root from her. Too bad she was so stubborn, not willing to budge an inch, so. Vicious Pilking squinted. Guess it's no harm in telling you this secret at this point. You think I alone am enough to harm that old bat? She had advised 3 generations of your edifice lords. After all, a truly awe-inspiring, profound heaven expert. A bad feeling began to seize Chu Qingqing's heart. Ha ha ha. You should have already guessed it. The one to have wounded her to such a state was an expert from Regent Estate. Foolish girl, you think your weak link with the second young master is enough to make Regent Estate help you? You brought the wolf in with open hands. Vicious Pilking's unrestrained laughter was filled with disdain as he took his leave. Chu Qingqing shivered and collapsed. Her eyes empty and tears streamed down her cheeks. What have I done? Her empty eyes now held despair. Her lone figure in the grand guest hall struck a pitiful image. Meanwhile, Zhuofan and Xiao Dandan left the hall and saw the veiled dragon pavilion with Sword Marquis abode waiting for them in a remote corner with a grin. Zhuofan walked straight to them, with Xiao Dandan next to him, of course, eliciting a surprise from him. What are you coming with me for? Go play by yourself. Xiao Dandan pouted. You've done that in front of everyone, and now you're so mean. What did I do? Wasn't it just a kiss? It's nothing great. I did it to get Sword Marquis Abode's vote and save your Drifting Flowers edifice. Zhuofan rolled his eyes and warned. Don't ever mention this again. There's nothing going on between us. Xiao Dandan was like an obedient child, though in her heart she felt miserable. Yet noticing the 2 houses watching them closely, she couldn't help but grab Zhuofan's hand in worry. Songyu, are they looking for trouble since you insulted them at the feast? It'd be best to leave as soon as possible. Zhuofan didn't explain and nod. Correct, but this is a man's job, not for women. Also, the further you are from me, the better. Zhuofan wrested his hand from her grip without hesitation and walked forward. Xiao Dandan was sad but worried for his sake. She thought of something and quickly rushed off. Greetings, it's been a long time. Zhuofan sported a faint smile, putting on the thunder ring from his storage ring. Sparks traveled across it, and Xie Tianyang's reacted in kind. He laughed. I knew it was you. You looked so different that I almost didn't recognize you. But calling me a coward made me realize the truth. Xie Tianyang was the first to call Zhuofan a coward, and now the roles were reversed. By the way, where's sister-in-law? Xie Tianyang's eyebrows danced on purpose. Zhuofan's mood turned sour as he waved a fist. Why did you do that anyway? Are you itching for a smackdown? Ha ha ha, it's a joke, a joke. You didn't lose out anyway. Xia Tianyang laughed as he withdrew, still somewhat afraid of Zhuofan. By the way, little brother, I wanted to ask, what was this all about? Long Jiu asked sternly. Don't you realize we all offended the regent estate? Little brother? Wait your Zhuofan? Long Kuei cried out. Since Long Jiu only had one little brother, Zhuofan, it was easy to figure it out. Jian Suifeng and Long Jia were also in shock. Now they knew why Long Jiu and Xia Tianyang sold their face to a kid, to the point they openly defied regent estate. Both were brothers to Zhuofan, holding undying gratitude towards each other. Yeah, brother, what was that all about? Xia Tianyang was also serious. I trust you since you have a good reason. But don't go ahead and sell me out again. We've been through life and death together. Zhuofan scratched his nose. You two are the ones I trust the most. I wouldn't have dragged you into this if I had no other choice. Just that you've already been pushed into harm's way, and it's best to plan ahead. The two asked at the same time, What do you mean? Can't you see it? Zhuofan's eyes flashed. Regent Estate intends to unify all 7 houses, and you two are on their kill list. Rather than wait to be killed, it's best to set a boundary and retaliate. What? Unify the 7 houses? How do you know that? They all cried. Zhuofan slowly shook his head. It's just a guess for now. Huangpu Qinyan displayed his power the instant he saw Xia Tianyang refuse to comply. If we take this arrogant behavior of a disciple into account, then we can draw conclusions at the true schemes cooking in the heads of the regent estate's minds. On the surface, it looks nothing more than looking to make trouble for Sword Marquis' abode and humiliating it through you, when in fact he managed to achieve 2 things: weakening Edifice, Lord's position, instigating Drifting Flowers Edifice and Sword Marquis' abode against each other, and splitting the people into 3 camps: those that obey, those that defy, and the opportunists. From how everyone reacted just now, it is safe to assume Hell Valley and Pilking Hall are in support of them. Meanwhile, Drifting Flowers Edifice, Sword Marquis' abode, and Veiled Dragon Pavilion, having reproached him many times, are obviously against them. As for Merrywood's, they are in the opportunist camp. They began to recount the feast in its entirety and came to the same conclusion. Now they began to see why Huangpu Qinyan was so disgusted and rude over this trivial matter. Even towards a house's young master, he wasn't just arrogant, but was devising a way to deal with the houses. They all broke out in cold sweat. If Zhuofan was right, the strongest of the 7 houses was going to declare war on them, to root them out and unite the 7 houses under one banner. This is all just a guess of yours. If it isn't true, then we became hostiles with Regent Estate for nothing. Long Kuei said sternly after a moment nodding. Zhuofan's eyes turned cold. Indeed. But don't you all agree it is better to become enemies than to wait for the moment when they come at you and catch you unprepared? It's easy to see the difference in danger. If it was me, I would destroy them all at the slightest sign of disobedience. Shivering, Long Jiu and Jian Suifeng exchanged a glance and admired him inside, so vicious and decisive, just like a true ruler. Fine, I know of that saying about guard against those that want to hurt you or whatever. I get the Regent Estate is coveting us, but Drifting Flowers Edifice's sorry state is a different matter. Brother, you made us favor Drifting Flowers Edifice, and thus pushed forward Regent Estate's war to us. Xia Tianyang suddenly said. Jian Suifeng gave him a praising glance. This kid is finally thinking for his house. Zhuofan disapproved with a sneer. Drifting Flowers Edifice is indeed the weakest of the 7, on the verge of collapse. This is why Regent Estate wants to start with them. Think about it. If they fall, who will Regent Estate turn to next? They all then realized shock. Though the Drifting Flowers Edifice was the weakest amongst the 7 houses, they were still part of the 7 houses. If Drifting Flowers Edifice was out of the picture, the next would be them, Sword, Marquis' abode, and Veiled Dragon Pavilion. Drifting Flowers Edifice is your gate. Once this gate, splits open, Regent Estate will be unstoppable in its march to swallow you all. In addition, Drifting Flowers Edifice's existence presents us with Regent Estate's attack target. Take Drifting Flowers Edifice out of the picture, and it will be anyone's guess who the next mark is. They all nodded, with some people's eyes flashing with resolve. Even Long Kuei, who always looked for chances to nitpick with him, had to agree Long Kuei now understood how serious this matter was, which involved her house. Then what do you get out of this? Xie Tianyang said, I know you well enough, and there's no way you'd get involved without getting something. Least of all, volunteering to help Drifting Flowers Edifice get over this predicament. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with confidence and said, Miss Long Kuei, do you remember our 10 years agreement? Rising Luo clan above the 7 houses in 10 years. Long Kuei muttered correct. Zhuo Fan continued with a smile. What I get from all of this is to slow down the Regent Estates campaign and allow the Luo clan rise in 10 years. When I am done, we will see who will be the true #1 house in the empire. Chapter 119. Zhuo Fan's Determination. Chapter 119. Zhuo Fan's Determination. What boasting! Jian Suifeng was the first to open his mouth in shocked 10 years to go beyond the 7 houses? There never was such a precedent in the entire Tianyu Empire, let alone rising enough to fight the strongest of the 7 houses. Regent Estate, Zhuo Fan's words were borderline fantasy, but from the looks of the rest, this arrogance was something they were used to. Given enough time, they got used to Zhuo Fan's egomaniac nature. So much so, they became numb to how many surprised he gave them. To some extent besides, compared to those shocking and incredible things he did, boasting would hardly mean anything. In fact, he might actually pull it off. They were skeptical, but also expectant, looking forward to seeing how far this little freak could go. Furthermore, their interests aligned. For now, AI, to safeguard both of our houses, we have no choice but to work together and protect Drifting Flowers Edifice. It would have been best if we talked about this yesterday, now that the 2 houses are in agreement, with none of us having any legitimate reason to intervene in that contest anymore. Long Jiu shook his head. Xie Tianyang did the same, complaining, Punk, making that proposition was a bad move. Whining with alchemy is the same as just giving it to vicious Pill King. You think I wanted to? How else could I have made them take a step back and give Drifting Flowers Edifice a lifeline? Rolling his eyes, Zhuo Fan sneered. Moreover, you don't need to worry about this. All you have to do is to support Drifting Flowers Edifice from time to time and prevent it from being swallowed. Does that mean you have a contingency in place? They all asked, perking the corner of his mouth. Zhuo Fan spoke with confidence. It's just alchemy. I will face the vicious Pill King myself. What? He is a 7th grade alchemist, how? This time they were panicking. A 7th grade alchemist was considered a peak in Tianyu Empire. Very few people had reached such a level, and Vicious Pill King was the #1 alchemist in Pill King Hall. He was better than even an average 7th grade alchemist. Possibly the best in the empire was Zhuo Fan, with his cultivation, at his age, capable of such a feat. Damn it all to hell. What is up with this freak? Alchemy, arrays, he is a master of all. There's hardly anyone in his generation who is his match. How did all of heaven's favor get dumped on him? Xie Tianyang was close to raining curses. He knew Zhuo Fan's skill in alchemy was abnormal, but not to the extent he reached a 7th grade alchemist level. Zhuo Fan sighed. Don't look at me like that. I am going to face him, but I too am not certain of success. Zhuo Fan knew alchemy needed 3 things. Cultivation, skill, and flame. Cultivation allowed prolonged control over the flame. Skill referred to the secret refining skills of some clans. Without a good one, no amount of cultivation would help refine a good pill. And flame determined the degree of ingredient refinement for high-grade ingredients. A common flame was unable to refine it. An alchemist had to look for a beast flame or a natural-born fire. The stronger the flame, The better the refinement, his cultivation left room to refine a fourth-grade pill at best. But with the secret and ancient refining skill from 9 Serenity's secret records, he could go a grade higher regarding flame. He had no clue how strong the azure flame was, but it was strong, no doubt about it. He was confident he should be able to refine a 7th-grade pill. And if you fail... Long Jiu saw Zhuo Fan silent and was beginning to worry. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with naked killing intent. Then it will come down to a fight. This is actually for the best. Taking the Bodhi route, the Regent Estate will change their targets to me, and Drifting Flowers Edifice will gain some breathing room. But you will end up chased by the experts of 3 houses. Long Jiu's eyes trembled, worried for Zhuo Fan's safety. A smile leaked on Zhuo Fan's lips. And we'll be enemies sooner or later. Messing up their plan earlier is for the best. With me getting their attention, you 3 houses will have no trouble making preparations. Zhuo Fan's words moved them. He was using his life to buy them time. They were now looking at him in gratitude and admiration. Who would dare brave such dangers when a single mistake would be paid for with his life? Damn, kid, you're truly bold. Even Jian Suifeng had to admire him. Xiat Tianyang slapped his shoulder. He was silent, but his eyes spoke volumes. A burning gaze that seemed to want to melt him. It was a hero's appreciation of another. Young Master Xia, please do not hurt him. A charming voice was followed by the appearance of a figure in red. It was none other than Peony Overseer Xiao. Dandan ran back and pulled the baffled Zhuo Fan behind the Peony Overseer. Everyone, Song Yu is as stubborn as a mule and offended you before. Please, for my sake, don't take it out on him. Peony Overseer cupped her hands. They suddenly froze, then laughed. Peony Overseer thought they wanted to get revenge on Zhuo Fan and rushed over to save him. This made them exchange a glance. It was though they sent out a message through their gaze, and all agreed to play along. Zhuo Fan was always so cocky that Long Jiu, a senior, looked for any chance to poke fun at him. Long Jiu coughed before he snorted in anger. How did Drifting Flowers Edifice get such a rude disciple? I would have long slapped him silly if Peony Overseer hadn't shown up. Uncle Jiu, please don't take it out on him. Peony Overseer nodded again and again. Long Jiu was stroking his beard, but his eyebrow danced in amusement at Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan's heart jumped and knew something was up, and sure enough, Long Jiu bypassed Peony Overseer and patted his shoulder like a teaching elder. Punk, you got away this time, but you better watch it in the future. Then Long Jiu slipped away, walking faster than normal. Afraid Zhuo Fan would settle the score, Zhuo Fan blinked. Still out of it, Xia Tianyang, having learned by Long Jiu's example, slapped his shoulder with a proud smile as he blurted, Punk, better watch it next time. I won't go so easy again. I am cooler than you, stronger than you. To think you even dared call me brother, hoping you can climb ranks. Ha! Xia Tianyang was carefree in his speech. If it were any given day, he'd never had the balls to speak to Zhuo Fan in such a way. Whose fault was it that Zhuo Fan took on Song Yu's face? Zhuo Fan clenched his fists and fire ebbed in his eyes. Curses! Since when did I have such goddamned brothers? You were the one acting all familiar with me before, and now you're messing with me? As Zhuo Fan glared at the 2's retreating figures, a charming voice spoke. Hey, what are you looking at? Can't take it? Zhuo Fan turned towards Long Kue. She struggled to hold her smile back as she berated. You're just a junior, just like this lady. You better get your act together when you see Uncle Jiu again. Don't be cheeky and learn some manners. Long Kue stuck out her chin, passing him by with an attitude to match. Worse, when she just passed him, Zhuo Fan noticed a wry smile on her face. Zhuo Fan was trembling now. Close to spitting blood, curses! Even this, wenches joining in. You're lucky Drifting Flowers Edifice's people are around, or I'll be pulling your pants down and tanning your ass. I am a sworn brother with Long Jiu. I am a senior here. You're the cheeky one. Zhuo Fan felt bleak. Long Jiu passed by him, and he glared back as if to say, What? You're also going to kick me around? Long Jie just shrugged and walked. Jian Suifeng stroked his beard with a smile. Walking after Xie Tianyang, if he didn't see it himself, he wouldn't have believed the freak Shuofan that killed Yu Giki would have a day like this, all sullen and downcast. Once all were gone, Xiao Dandan sighed and smiled. That was dangerous. Lucky I called my master in time to save you. Who told you to? Shuofan glared impatiently and howled. How could they dare think to mess with me if not for you two showing up? Xiao Dandan lowered her head. Feeling deeply wronged, Peony Overseer flared. Songyu, don't think you can always rely on Edifice Lord and pick on my disciple. Humph, you think I care for your fate? I only came to save you, because Dandan asked me to. Humph, men are all the same, ungrateful. Dandan, let's go. He isn't worthy of you. Peony Overseer pulled Xiao Dandan away. Xiao Dandan looked back at him. But Shuofan rolled his eyes. Shuofan thought for a moment, then walked to the guest hall. It is time to lay the cards out for Chu Qingqing. Exchanging Bodhi jade sap for the safety of Drifting Flowers edifice is a good enough deal for them. Chapter 120, Strange Formula. Chapter 120, Strange Formula. The guest hall was quiet now that all the bustle was over. Only a bleak and desolate figure lay collapsed on the ground, knowing to be Chu Qingqing. Shuofan walked to her, his words blunt. Edifice Lord, I need to speak with you. It's regarding Drifting Flowers edifice's future. I am sure you'd be interested. Shuofan seemed like a different person, unlike the silly and naive Songyu. He had a crafty smile and a deep gaze, yet his words fell on deaf ears. Shuofan looked down to find Chu Qingqing's eyes dead. She didn't hear a word. He said, Come on. You're a profound heaven expert, and an edifice lord on top of that. Yet you can't take a hit? A man's betrayal was enough to bring you to this state? Shuofan shook his head. No wonder men have been rulers since antiquity. A woman's heart is too fragile. Though, big sis, even if you want to give up, do that after you listen to my plan. At least give me the Bodhi jade sap while you're at it. Shuofan sighed. If this had happened yesterday, he would have laughed, thinking it would be easy to take the Bodhi jade sap and just leave. But now, things have changed. If anything happened to Chu Qingqing, the Drifting Flowers edifice would collapse. Wouldn't that be to Regent Estate's satisfaction? For now, he couldn't steal the Bodhi jade sap and could only politely ask for it. Edifice Lord Chu, wake up. Listen to my plan to rescue Drifting Flowers edifice. I promise you will like it. Shuofan waved his hand in front of her. Chu Qingqing was still unresponsive, her eyes blank. Though the tears proved she was very much alive, sighing, Shuofan found himself out of options. After a person locked their heart to escape the cruel reality, the only one capable of saving them was themselves, Sister Chu Chu. Why are you like this? Shuofan sighed. Not knowing what to do suddenly, Chu Qingqing moved and the light came back in her eyes. What did you call me? Shuofan was startled, then happy. It seems his unintentional call brought this foolish lady back. He rushed to say, Sister Chu Chu, wake up. Shuofan shook to her as he used bewitching whispers. His voice was amplified hundreds of times in her ear. Chu Qingqing shivered and woke up, looking back at Shuofan. Her eyes softened. So it's you? Thank you. It's nothing as long as you're awake now. Nodding, Shuofan laughed and sighed. By the way, I have something. No need to say it. Nothing matters at this point. Chu Qingqing stood up as she had made her newfound resolve. Her eyes flashed. Drifting Flowers edifice has entered such a crisis, and it's my responsibility to do everything to save it. This isn't your fault. And Drifting Flowers edifice still has. Songyu. Chu Qingqing didn't seem to have heard him as she smiled warmly. I really need to thank you. I don't know how you got Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquis Abode to help us, to give us one last chance. Without this chance, I know that we would have been stripped of all dignity. Actually. All right, you don't need to explain. I understand. She used a delicate hand to help Shuofan up and smiled. I know you want to comfort me, but there's no need. I realize it now. There is still time until the 100-pill meeting starts, and hope you can help me with some things. She pulled Zhuo Fan outside. The pitiful Zhuo Fan tried many times to get a word in, but was always shut down before he could finish. His only choice was to let Chu Qingqing pull him. Big sis, can't you let me speak? I have a way to save Drifting Flower's edifice. Zhuo Fan sighed. How does this woman speak so fast? I can't get a word in. The moment I open my mouth, she lets out 10 words. It is just for some Bodhi jade sap. Is it really necessary to cut me off every time? Zhuo Fan shook his head and stopped talking. Regardless of how he worded it, Chu Qingqing had a way to shut him up each time, as if talking to a child. Zhuo Fan was silent the whole trip, pulled along to a desolate cliff at the back of the edifice, and the cliff's wall had faint energy waves leaking from it, a barrier. Drifting Flower's edifice disciple Chu Qingqing, requesting an audience with Aunt Tao. Chu Qingqing bowed and shouted. An invisible ripple echoed, and the barrier opened. An aged voice traveled from within. Chu, you are the Lord now. You do not need to act this way for this old lady. Aunt Tao is the master of this place. I may be the Lord, but I dare not enter without permission. Chu Qingqing let out a rare smile and pulled Zhuo Fan inside the instant he got in. He sneezed. It was so cold that he could feel it even through his diamond body. A cold cave such as this had to contain an extreme treasure. Sure enough, a 10-meter square block of black-bluish ice laid in the middle of the cave. Any cultivator would greatly improve their speed of cultivation here. This place was a naturally formed treasure, although a tad lacking compared with Bodhi root. It was still enough to make a radiant stage expert become greedy. On the ice lay an old woman in intricate robes. She seemed in her 50s, but the black and blue on her face pointed out that she was poisoned, and from the looks of it, it had to be consuming most of her body. Damn, this old woman is so poisoned and can't move, yet she can still release this barrier? Just what's her cultivation? I didn't think it possible Drifting Flower's edifice could have another expert. Zhuo Fan spoke, then a voice filled with contempt entered his ears. Humph, foolish child, that is a living corpse. It cannot hear, cannot speak, cannot move. How can it release the barrier? I am the one who did it. Frowning, Zhuo Fan turned to see deeper inside the cave. There laid an old woman, cross-legged. She wore black clothes, and with how dusky it was in here, Zhuo Fan didn't notice her at first. Aunt Tao, he has very low cultivation and only a bit of physical strength. It is normal he didn't see you. Please don't blame him. Chu Qingqing smiled. Aunt Tao teased. Girl, I have never seen you protect a man before. Is he or did you show it to him? Chu Qingqing blushed and nodded. Zhuo Fan was staring blankly, unable to make sense of anything. See what? Treasure? Song Yu. She is our top alchemist, Aunt Tao. Quickly bow. Chu Qingqing pushed him forward. Zhuo Fan helplessly went, feeling more bizarre. Why suddenly bring me to your head alchemist? To teach her? In any case, teaching her depends on her aptitude. Zhuo Fan did not wish to bow right now, but he had to show respect. But when he caught a glimpse of the old woman, he jumped in fright. She had white hair, but also a green and blue face from being poisoned. Not worse than the old woman on the ice rainbow cloud palm. One look was enough to recognize the cause. What? Did I scare you? Ha ha ha. Aunt Tao showed a frightening smile. Not all of Drifting Flower's edifice's people are beauties. Song Yu, don't be rude and apologize. Chu Qingqing urged, yet Zhuo Fan didn't react, only watching her face as he muttered. Wait, it's similar, but not quite like the rainbow cloud palm. The old woman's face moved and showed surprise. Child, you seem quite knowledgeable of poisons. To be honest, this isn't because of rainbow cloud palm, but from when I failed to refine its antidote. Are you making pills or poison? Zhuo Fan shouted. Ha ha ha, well said. With a sad smile, Aunt Tao felt mournful. Whether it's poison or medicine, I am yet unsure. But in these 3 years of research, I have come to understand this is like a pill, yet not a pill. A poison, yet not a poison. Vicious Pill King, you are indeed so remarkable that I can't even compare." With a crazed laughter, Aunt Tao fixed her eyes on the stone wall. Zhuo Fan followed her eyes and squinted. A human skin was sprawled on the wall, holding a record of Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote formula. Even with Zhuo Fan's extensive knowledge, he found it weird. "How is this possible?" Zhuo Fan muttered. "The 7 ingredients each is a rare natural treasure, but the refining is that of a poison or a pill." Being silent for a moment, Zhui Fan walked to the living dead on the ancient ice. He touched her hand and injected his yuan qi. As he expected, she was poisoned by Rainbow Cloud Palm, and just like Chu Qingqing, she had the Bodhi Jade sap restraining the 7 poisons. With the help of this ancient ice, her life was preserved, only that Chu Qingqing's poison state was less grave, while this living dead was filled with it. Even with an antidote, her recovery was slim. If the ancient ice hadn't kept her in suspended animation, her life would have been over. Zhuo Fan turned to the formula on the wall and felt something was off about it. "It's real, but there's a trick to it." Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with a strange light. Chapter 121, Grandmother. Chapter 121, Grandmother. "All right, child, this is a secret formula of Pill King Hall. I have studied it hard for many years, yet its workings elude me. You may have some passable skill in alchemy, but there's no way you can see through its mysteries after just a glance." Picking up on his surface thoughts, Aunt Tao shook her head. She then turned to Chu Qingqing. "Girl, you didn't come here just for his sake, right?" Chu Qingqing's cheek went rosy and bowed as she related the feast's events in all its details. Aunt Tao cried out in shock. What even regent estate came? Ah, this must be fate. Crying towards the heavens, Aunt Tao wiped the dry tears from her eyes and muttered, "Chu, what are you planning to do next? Will you let them destroy Drifting Flowers' edifice? Or will you plead the Venerable to fight them to the death?" Venerable. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow in thought. Each of the 7 noble houses raised their own venerable. They were radiant stage cultivators, their last line of defense. They would never ask a venerable's intervention unless a calamity struck. This confirmed that Drifting Flowers' edifice was on the brink of annihilation. When he thought about it, going against another radiant stage expert would most likely end in the regent estates, Venerable being wounded for a few decades. I guess it is another way to slow down their conquest. Sister Chu, ask the Venerable to step in and let them know we will fight tooth and nail with them. Drifting Flowers' edifice isn't their playground. Zhuo Fan instigated. The more chaos, the better it was for him. Chu Qingqing shook her head, her eyes firm. Asking the Venerable will trigger a war among the 7 houses. The empire would be plunged into civil war, and the people would fall into despair. My heart cannot bear it. If Drifting Flowers' edifice falls, we, sisters, will part ways, but in case of war, Drifting Flowers' edifice will lose for sure, and my sisters will perish with it. As a lord, I cannot ignore their fates. Now I see why Grandmother chose you, the least qualified, as the lord despite unanimous disapproval. Aunt Tao nodded with a faint smile. Zhuo Fan, on the other hand, rolled his eyes. Softies, the lot of them! If it were him, he would have divided and then conquered, attack openly and overtly, spreading slaughter everywhere and throw the empire upside down. That was where his chance laid, to rise above from that madness. I would rather turn my back on the world than have the world turn its back on me. The demonic cultivator path was cruel and ambitious, with everyone stepping on others to reach the peak. Unfortunately, Chu Qingqing was not a demonic cultivator. Her kind nature was just not cut out for this, unlike Zhuo Fan's bold nature. And there are the overseers poisoned by that old dog. Chu Qingqing gazed with worry at Aunt Tao. This is why I want to ask Aunt Tao to step out and protect the Bodhi root. Perhaps our only chance of getting the antidote is if we give it in exchange. You plan on making me face that accursed man in alchemy. Aunt Tao seemed to have heard the biggest joke, cackling like mad. But in her lunacy, a hint of woe was hidden. Ching Cheng, look at me. In my trials of unraveling his rainbow cloud palm, I am now neither human nor demon. Do you think my feeble skill is enough to win? Her heart in pain, Chu Ching Cheng whispered something in Aunt Tao's ear. Aunt Tao's eyes lit up and nodded. I see. So that's what you're planning. But will it work? Chu Ching Cheng's eyes were dead set, her nod firm. Then I will die a worthy death. So that's why you brought this child. Sighing, Aunt Tao patted Chu Ching Cheng tenderly on the shoulder. She then turned serious as she eyed Zhuo Fan. Kid, come here and kowtow to this grandmother 3 times. Zhuo Fan was clueless. Grandmother? Where? Following her finger, he discovered she was referring to the living dead. He was still out of the loop, but the dead ought to be shown respect, he guessed. So, kowtowing wasn't that big of a deal. And so Zhuo Fan was quite casual in his kneeling and knocking his head on the ground as he did. He realized Chu Ching Cheng was kneeling next to him, kowtowing just as well. Good. The rite is complete. Zhuo Fan was still confused when Aunt Tao shouted and asked for him to kneel again. This time he was against it. He was first clueless to what was going on, but now he had to kneel again to this damnable old bat. But Chu Ching Cheng's piercing eyes left Zhuo Fan with no other choice. Crud. I'm song you now, and can only kneel. Aunt Tao and Chu Ching Cheng noticed his proud eyes and shook their heads next. Aunt Tao began reciting the teaching of Drifting Flowers Edifice's ancestors, along with their 1,000-year-old history. Zhuo Fan wasn't at all content listening to some senseless rambling, but around the middle. Zhuo Fan started paying attention. It turned out Drifting Flowers Edifice and Peking Hall were in a tight alliance, frequently marrying one's disciples to the other also. The Peking Hall's rainbow cloud palm wasn't so strong in the past, but thanks to Drifting Flowers Edifice providing Bodhi jade sap, it slowly improved, becoming what it was today. The dread of all the 7 houses later, because a Peking Hall and Drifting Flowers Edifice couple quarreled, which led to a fight. It ended up with the husband using the rainbow cloud palm on the wife, and the wife returned and raged back to Drifting Flowers Edifice. Drifting Flowers Edifice didn't take it seriously at first, using Bodhi jade sap to cure her. But they were shocked to find the Bodhi jade sap, which could save one from imminent death, to be ineffective from that moment. Drifting Flowers Edifice realized the seriousness of the situation. Peking Hall's poison was out of control, so they cut off their supply of Bodhi jade sap. This enraged Peking Hall, and the houses became bitter enemies. Ever since, until 100 years ago, the Peking Hall kept harassing Drifting Flowers Edifice and killing 8 overseers with rainbow cloud palm. Not even the lords were exempted, with 2 of them falling victim. As well, the imperial family turned a blind eye to their feud. How could they not? Peking Hall was supplying them with pills. It got to the point where Peking Hall drove Drifting Flowers Edifice close to destruction several times. One thing had to be said. When there's a will, there's a way. In Drifting Flowers Edifice's hour of most desperate need, a strange woman stepped up, Chu Bijuan. She was none other than the living dead laying in the ancient ice. Not only was she strong, she was also wise. On one hand, she repelled Peking Hall's attacks, and on the other, connected with the other houses through marriage, expanding their power. This had led to Peking Hall to suffer countless and heavy defeats over the last century. Everyone in the 7 houses had to admire this woman's skill. They all came to the realization that without her, there would have been no Drifting Flowers Edifice today. Even Peking Hall had to admire her. The people came to call her the Lady of Steel, while the disciples of Drifting Flowers Edifice called her grandmother. She was by no means the edifice lord, but she assisted 3 generations of them, holding Drifting Flowers Edifice strong. It was a pity the Lady of Steel ended up falling in an enemy's ploy a decade ago. Vicious Peking had 3 overseers under his control. They betrayed the house and called out for help. Chu Bijuan went to their rescue, only to fall into their trap, heavily wounded and poisoned by the rainbow cloud palm. She still managed to escape their encirclement. They always thought Peking Hall was behind this, but now they knew it was regent estate all along her state was very precarious on her return, with but one breath away from death. In this moment of impending demise, she made a bold and radical decision to make Chu Ching the edifice lord, passing on the mantle to a mere 13-year-old girl with Iris and Peony overseers at her side. This decision earned disapproval among many overseers, but they could only bear it in silence before the might of their grandmother. In light of what happened, Chu Ching's most trusted allies were the Iris and Peony overseers. With time, people started to think grandmother was dead, when in fact Aunt Tao froze her on her last breath and had turned her into a living dead. This ended the sorrowful history of Drifting Flowers edifice. Chu Ching dabbed her eyes and recalled those times as she looked at grandmother. Aunt Tao was looking stern at Zhuo Fan. "Kid, did you get all of it?" Zhuo Fan nodded. "Yes." "Good. Now, you will be the next one to pass it on. The Drifting Flowers edifice will never die as long as someone remembers it." She laughed and helped Shui up before he joined his and Chu Ching's delicate hands together. "Just for a few days, take care." Aunt Tao walked towards the cave wall and entered contemplation. Zhui Fan was about to ask for clarification when Chu Ching pulled him before the grandmother. She bowed again and left without turning around. With a rumble, the stone door closed and the array started again. "Sister Chu, what is going on?" Zhuo Fan asked, puzzled. He didn't understand why Chu Ching prevented him from speaking and brought him to listen to their history. Chu Ching shook her head and showed a rare but warm smile. "From now on, call me just Chu or Ching." "Ah." Zhuo Fan blinked. He was clueless to what Chu meant, but her gaze evoked something foreign in his heart. Silly. Chu Ching pulled his hand as she continued, "You are now one of us. Come, I will take you to see the members of my family." Chapter 122. Heaven-Toppling Pill. Chapter 122. Heaven-Toppling Pill. Chu Ching took Zhuo Fan to a barren hill. 3 lonely graves struck a dreadful image in the midst of harsh and cruel winds. "They are my parents and my younger brother." Chu Ching's side Zhuo Fan noticed that the graves had written on them, "Beloved mother, beloved father." However, the foremost one was a blank slab with a black cloak fluttering on it. On a closer look, there were some words on the cloak. "Heaven-Toppling Pill." Such audacious words! Zhuo Fan cried. Every cultivator knew that alchemy was a wide and long winding road. Even if you invested all your energy in it, you'd only pick up a few things along the way. What's more, refining skills abided by heaven's laws. How arrogant could one be to say the words, "Heaven-Toppling Pill"? Not even that narrow-minded vicious pill king would dare utter such a thing. He turned puzzled to Chu Ching, who replied with a warm smile, "You must find them self-centered, right?" Zhuo Fan nodded. Chu Ching walked to the grave and caressed the cloak. "This is my younger brother, Chu Tian, and this cloak is something I made for him." Chu Tian. Zhuo Fan's raised an eyebrow as he recalled. Wasn't he the spy sent by Drifting Flowers edifice to the vicious Pill King? It turns out to be her brother. But sending her own brother as a spy seems Drifting Flowers edifice has run out of talents. Zhuo Fan smacked his lips. "Song Yu." Chu Ching turned to him with a soft gaze, catching him by surprise. "Did you know? When you gave me fruits in the slums, when you fought for my sake, I saw Qing Tian in you, especially when you fought Yan Fu. Your reckless and stubborn nature is his spitting image." Chu Ching had tears glistening in her eyes. Recalling the past, Zhuo Fan blushed from shame. He always thought he got close to Chu Ching thanks to Dong Tianba's skirt-chasing skills. It turned out he was only a substitute for her brother. Embarrassed, Zhuo Fan muttered, "So, Sister Chu took me for your little brother." Glaring at him, Chu Ching reproached, "I told you to stop saying sister. Did you forget?" Zhuo Fan was baffled. "A substitute little brother can't call you sister." Chu Ching noticed his reaction and shook her head. Perhaps I did consider you as my younger brother at first, but after today, Chu Qingqing's blushed and muttered, now, you aren't my little brother anymore. She digressed so badly that Zhuo Fan had no clue what she was saying, though it didn't look like she'd explain as she spoke. My parents were normal disciples of Drifting Flower's edifice, which fell from Pill King Hall's poison. From a young age, I and Qing Tian vowed revenge. Grandmother found our talent worthy of her attention and taught us herself. However, Qing Tian was a man, and Drifting Flower's edifice had only one use for such people: marry their disciples and carry on Drifting Flower's edifice forward. Qing Tian's refining skill was beyond mere talent. He was unwilling to waste away living like this and defied Drifting Flower's edifice in becoming Pill King Hall's disciple. Wasn't he a spy? How come you used defy? Zhuo Fan interrupted. Chu Qingqing nodded. You are correct, but we were unaware of the ploy at that time. I even wrote a letter to break all ties with him. Only 3 years later did he return to Drifting Flower's edifice. We then understood this was grandmother's plan all along. He did not abandon his mission and stole the Pill King Hall's Rainbow Cloud Palms antidote formula. Because of Pill King Hall's strict guard, he used a concoction to carve the formula on his back. It would never be visible unless a special liquid was poured on it. You're saying the human skin in the cave is your brother's? Zhuo Fan's heart shuddered. Chu Qingtian went through inhuman lengths for Drifting Flower's edifice. He had to use human skin to take the formula with him. It was obvious how dangerous, how hard this mission was. This also gave Zhuo Fan some plans he could use for the Luo clan. Should I also get some diehards and send them inside the other houses as a contingency? But his plan would have to have far more impact than Drifting Flower's edifices. While Drifting Flower's edifice wasted a decade for a formula, he had greater plots developing in his mind, like getting his spies in the houses through some special means and reporting their every movement. The 9 Serenities secret records had a secret art pertaining to demonic cultivators to aid in this endeavor, but it was too cruel. The secret art wasn't used on enemies, but on his own men. He could only harden his heart if he were to handle the 7 houses. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with coldness. Chu Qingqing continued, oblivious of his reactions. Qing Tian's return had everyone excited. With Rainbow Cloud Palm's antidote, we had no reason to fear Pill King Hall. While everyone was eager, Aunt Tao and Qing Tian began refining it. However, the formula was too much of an oddity. The overseers who were already poisoned died when taking the refined antidote, while the refiners got poisoned themselves. And your brother died from poison? Heaven can be so cruel to geniuses. Zhuo Fan sighed. That was the truth of it, and he felt close to tears. The antidote was a 7th grade pill. He was a freak of an alchemy genius to participate in its refining at such a young age. It is truly a pity his life ended so soon. Chu Qingqing shook her head, eyes downcast. No, he was killed by the other overseers. What? But didn't he earn great merit? Why? Zhuo Fan was startled, but soon figured it out. Who was the most unfortunate in this world, the nameless hero? Why? Ha ha ha, because neither side got what they wanted. Chu Qingqing confirmed it. My other sisters suspected him as being Pill King Hall's spy, that he brought a fake formula to ruin the house. They took advantage of me, Peony Overseer, and Iris Overseer's absence, and beat him to death. This is Drifting Flower's edifice's shame. We had no choice but to say he died from poisoning, while Aunt Tao still believed the formula is real, studying it painstakingly. Tears fell from Chu Qingqing's eyes. Zhuo Fan wanted to comfort her, but she waved her hand to refuse, stopping him in his tracks. Because Qing Tian's body was in such condition, I could only bury him here. I was afraid he would be cursed and reviled, so I didn't leave his name behind. Later, I moved my parents' graves to have them reunited here. Chu Qingcheng pulled Zhuo Fan's hand into kowtowing 3 times before the graves. Songyu, when I die, please bring my body here to rest with them. Chu Qingqing's words were filled with sorrow and sounded very much like a dying wish, leaving Zhuo Fan puzzled. What is she planning? Silly girl, with me here, there's nothing to worry about. Zhuo Fan showed a rare, serious expression. Chu Qingqing was startled. She rarely saw the stubborn Zhuo Fan display any semblance of reliability. Like right now, she soon rolled her eyes. You are never satisfied, are you? I told you to call me by my name, and now you dare call me silly? Ah, ha ha. Bro Dong said this will bring women a feeling of safety. What, you don't like it? Zhuo Fan scratched his head. Playing the fool, she glared at him. That brother of yours is a wastrel. Stay away from him. Zhuo Fan shrugged. Now, follow me to the last place. After seeing grandmother and paying respects to her family, Chu Qingqing took the cloak and pulled Zhuo Fan as she soared 15 minutes later. They were at a familiar place. Zhuo Fan was amazed to find this place was the slums where they first met. Because of the scourge woman, none dared to get close. Why are we here again? Zhuo Fan was baffled. Right. Why is the great edifice lord hiding here as a scourge woman? Chu Qingqing took a deep breath. I had no choice. Enraged by what happened to Qingtian, I went to Yen Song to settle the score, only to be wounded and poisoned as well. I didn't let anyone know this, afraid of affecting Drifting Flower's edifice's stability. I claimed to enter seclusion when, in fact, I had been using the moon's Yin power to suppress the poison. This was how I came to be known as a scourge woman. Zhuo Fan nodded, and Chu Qingqing suddenly draped the black cloak on his shoulders. Zhuo Fan looked at her. Startled, Chu Qingqing smiled. Songyu, I don't have much time. I hope you can take Qingtian's place, letting me feel the warmth of a family. Ha ha ha. So I'm still your brother in the end. Zhuo Fan laughed in spite of himself. Bam. Suddenly, Chu Qingqing embraced his broad back and closed her eyes. Zhuo Fan was startled and did not continue to speak. I told you you're not my brother. Just let me feel the warmth of a family one last time. Chu Qingqing stared into his eyes. She hesitated before removing her veil. Her outstanding beauty was once again revealed to him, making his heart freeze. He was plunged into a daze a second time. Despite seeing her once already, Chu Qingqing noticed, and a hit of red colored her cheeks. Songyu, Qingtian told me my smile can topple cities. His pill can topple heaven. I hope you will let me relive our short, warm memories together. Smiley face, Qingqing equals city toppling. Star reader, Qingtian equals heaven toppling. Zhuo Fan could not even process her words. He was too confused and lost. Only nodding unconsciously, Chu Qingqing showed a smile of gratitude. Thank you. The two began experiencing the lives of a man and a woman in a quiet and decrepit house. They were like average people, with Zhuo Fan repairing the house and Chu Qingqing washing and cooking before eating together the following 3 days. Zhuo Fan never felt so at peace he would have never thought it possible before. How could the grand demonic emperor live his days in such a vile way? Yet these days were spent without any bit of worry or remorse, as if he was living a dream. Unfortunately, this was an act that fell in a pair of vicious eyes hiding in the darkness. He was a profound heaven expert. The figure left and soon arrived at Drifting Flower's edifice's guest rooms. He quietly entered one that was filled with people. Vicious Pill King, Mary Woods' Lin Zetian, Hell Valley's fifth elder were all here, and leading them was none other than Regent Estate's second young master. Huangpu Qingyin, the figure, whispered in the second young master's ear. Bam! The teacup in his hand was shattered into pieces. Huangpu Qingyin was enraged. Second young master, what happened? Vicious Pill King asked, clenching his fists. Huangpu Qingyin spat. That bitch took off her veil for that punk. Huangpu Qingyin ran out, flying straight to the slums. Chapter 123, Golden Tyrant Body Art. Chapter 123, Golden Tyrant Body Art. A morning ray of warmth spilled into the house onto Zhuo Fan's peaceful face. His eyelids trembled, and he smiled. Looking at the person in his arms, he and Chu Ching lived their days in peace like a game of house. They toiled by day and rested in the same bed by night, although nothing happened. They leaned on each other, giving a sense of peace to both. Zhuo Fan, who was a ruthless demon, never stumbled upon such feelings before. Perhaps this is the warmth of a family. Zhuo Fan watched the beauty in his arms absent-mindedly. Chu Ching's appearance could incite wars, as the saying went. A woman was a hero's downfall. He has experienced this firsthand. Living a peaceful life with Chu Ching was all that was on his mind right now. What's the point of rising to the top? What's the point of ruling the world? How can it compare to a beauty smile? Perhaps this is what they call to fall from grace. But so what? I am willing to fall, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan laughed inside. The ever-unchanging demonic emperor was wavering. He gazed at Chu Ching resting on his chest. Zhuo Fan couldn't help but want to lean in for a kiss. Whoosh! Suddenly, Chu Ching opened her eyes and threw them out of the house. Bam! The house went up in flames, turning into ashes in an instant. From the rising ashes, a figure emerged, the outraged Huangpu, Qingyin the fire in his eyes burned even hotter when he saw Chu Ching and Zhuo Fan holding hands. Man, I just fixed the house! Huangpu Qingyin was angry. Zhuo Fan was pissed. This was his and Chu Ching's quiet home, and it barely lasted a couple of days before it went up in smoke. Son of a bitch! You've gone too far. You take me for a meek lamb? These days of peace and quiet seemed to have gone to his head. It made him forget he was acting as Songyu. Zhuo Fan's eyes flashed with killing intent. He took a step forward, ready to get Huangpu Qingyin acquainted with pain, but Chu Ching blocked him and whispered, "Songyu, stay behind me." Finally realizing what he was about to do, Zhuo Fan relaxed his fists. He couldn't step in now, or Regent Estate would have an excuse to move against Drifting Flowers edifice and ruin all his plans. These days have been so relaxing that I forgot about the bigger picture. Zhuo Fan cursed inside, then sighed. Qingcheng, I will leave it to you. Qingcheng. It only worked to inflame Huangpu Qingyun's anger. You're on a first-name basis now, like a cheating couple? I will make sure you will die miserably today. Huangpu Qingyun, watch your mouth. Who's a cheating couple? Chu Ching glared. Humph, you're asking me? Chu Ching, even when we settled on the agreement, you did not once remove your veil for me. Yet now you just let a damn punk see you first. Chu Ching's eyes were cold. Huangpu Qingyun, you're the one who broke our agreement first. Why would I ever show you my face? Ah, hold on, you lost me there. Zhuo Fan stepped in. You are so petty. She only lifted her veil and you want to kill me? Even with Qingcheng as your childhood sweetheart, you only don't wish for anyone to have a look at her appearing? Your reaction is uncalled for. It is not like I steal your wife or something. As the saying went, silence was golden. Huangpu Qingyun was now an explosive, ready to blow. Rotten punk, you dare feign ignorance? You're dead, you hear? Huangpu Qingyun punched, despite being 300 meters away. Nonetheless, a golden light flew from his fist and arrived in a blink. Zhuo Fan's heart froze. The body refining art he used could not be compared to Zhuo Fan's secret refining art, but was top-notch nonetheless in normal cases. A profound heaven expert killing a bone-tempering cultivator was an easy feat, however. The distance had to be a bit smaller, or the yuan qi would fade before it could pass through a bone-tempering expert's tough body. Yet this light was different. Zhuo Fan was certain this attack would have nailed your average bone-tempering expert. Then again, he wasn't your average one either, and could handle it. Zhuo Fan made some guesses, and even with this advantage, he knew his odds of winning were decent if he were to fight. He dispatched the third layer of profound heaven stage you, geeky, with ease. Yet currently he felt like he was going to have a hard time against this second layer expert. It spoke volumes of the Regent Estate's strength. Watch out! Chu Ching pulled Zhuo Fan 10 meters away, dodging the light. He heard a boom and looked to see a 30-meter large stone pulverize Chu Ching was flustered. She knew Huangpu Qingyan was strong, but not to this extent. Her expression was grave. Humph, Qingqing, did you see that? That punk only knows how to hide behind your skirt. When danger comes, you always have to protect him in the end. Such a man is unworthy of you. Huangpu Qingyan snorted. Chu Qingqing raised her head high, and, this is what I desire. Aren't most of the drifting flowers, edifices, men, all like this? Ah, Qingqing, I don't mean to argue, but I don't hide behind women. Zhuo Fan's voice was quite naive, but this was something he could not let go. He needed to make a point here. He was none other than the demonic emperor. His name was at stake. Even if he was in a disguise, this was a matter of pride, and he couldn't get sloppy in times like these glaring at him. Chu Qingqing lashed. Zip it! No one was talking to you. Ha ha ha, well said. If you call yourself a man, then don't freakin' hide behind a woman. Come out and face me alone. Huangpu Qingyan gave a taunting laughter. Zhuo Fan's eyes went cold, staring at him with killing intent, though he didn't let it get to him. We will fight. Don't you worry, but not today. There's no harm in killing you 2 days later. The two watched him in shock, and even Chu Qingqing looked at him funny. What gave this brat the nerve to speak so boldly? Huangpu Qingyan was in the second layer of profound heaven stage, and a body cultivator. Yet he was just a second layer of bone tempering cultivator from a third-rate clan. The gap could not be bigger, though his eyes spoke how confident he was of turning this threat into reality. Ha ha ha! Perfect! Huangpu Qingyan was laughing from anger. He didn't expect a day would come when a nobody would predict his death. It was utterly ridiculous. This punk must have lived in a cave and knows nothing of Regent Estate's power. I just displayed my power, yet he still dares speak with such nerve. No need to wait. I will squeeze the life out of you right now. In the wake of Huangpu Qingyan's words, he leaped at Zhuo Fan. Chu Qingqing held Zhuo Fan behind her in concern, and had her other hand struck forward. Bam! Huangpu Qingyan's advance stopped. His fist was covered in ice, while Chu Qingqing flew 20 meters, leaving a trail of blood. Humph! Qingqing, for a brat. You even dared to use the arcane moon art to block me. Huangpu Qingyan flicked the ice on his hand away. You only have yourself to blame for what is about to happen. Roaring, Huangpu Qingyan stomped his feet, and a golden light enveloped his body. There was even a faint golden dragon above his head. With a faint dragon roar, 6 golden dragons wound around his body, dragon vein body refining. Zhuo Fan finally got to know the source of his body's power. He trained his body with the essence of dragon veins. Every dragon vein held the essence of earth. The power of earth was unshakable, lofty, and tough. Refining his body with this essence was like turning one's body into a mountain, holding both power and stability, speaking of Huangpu Qingyan's body refining method. It was another path leading to the same result, as his own Zhuo Fan's body was cast using the blood of the earth, diamond sand. It was made with a great deal of earth essence. Both of them held similar bodies, but there were some disparities. While Zhuo Fan was a living weapon, Huangpu Qingyan was half human, half weapon. The gap was small, but will be magnified as one's cultivation increased. Chu Qingqing cried in panic. Regent Estate's profound, ranked martial art, golden tyrant body art. Hee Qingqing, I told you not to shield this punk with your life. Huangpu Qingyan charged at Zhuo Fan. Chu Qingqing's palms danced. Tens of white ribbons flew at Huangpu Qingyan and encased him like a mummy, yet the next moment they were ripped to shreds, and Chu Qingqing spat blood while recoiling 10 more steps. Huangpu Qingyan's speed wasn't affected in the least. Zhuo Fan clenched his fist, ready to unfold his lightning wings. It seems that I have no choice but to reveal myself and fight this guy to the death. Chapter 124, Zhuo Fan's Wrath. Chapter 124, Zhuo Fan's Wrath. Flowing spaces, 9 forms. Space, rupturing form. Purple lightning gold eye. Cold jade palm. Peony finger. following many yells, for attacks of great power descended. They were composed of purple lightning, lofty sword intent, a deep chilling wind, and a deep yet flexible power. They hammered Huangpu Qingyan and forced him to withdraw 3 steps as 4 figures stood in front of Zhuo Fan and Chu Qingqing Jian Suifeng, Long Jiu, Iris Overseer, and Peony Overseer. The overseers rushed to Chu Qingqing and checked her wounds, while the first 2 were on high alert for any of Huangpu Qingyan's sudden movements when the dust settled. Huangpu Qingyan had a frosty expression, but unharmed in any way, this caused a great deal of shock. The 4 elders used their most masterful skills against Huangpu Qingyan. But even though they lacked the intent to kill, he had no damage whatsoever, not even a bruise or a cut. This only worked to put them on guard. No wonder Regent Estates' golden tyrant body art was the strongest of the 7 houses. This is monstrous. Whoosh! 3 more figures landed. Vicious Pill King, Lin Zitian, and Hell Valley's 5th elder next to Huangpu Qingyan. They took a glance at the situation and could guess what happened. Such gall you have to strike the 2nd young master. Vicious Pill King laughed coldly, taking advantage of the occasion to sow chaos. If you want to fight, we will gladly entertain you. Lin Zitian and 5th elder exchanged glances, then looked at Huangpu Qingyan. They had no choice but to bear through this. Not stepping forth now was getting on the Regent Estate's bad side with shivering hearts. Long Jiu's group looked at each other with determination on their faces. Huangpu Qingyan was bad enough, but now that the other 3 showed up, it would be hard to come out on top in this battle in an instant. Long Jiu and Jian Suifeng looked at Zhuo Fan without even realizing it. Zhuo Fan had Yu Geeki's killing under his belt. He was both brave and devious. The most dependable man here weren't they, the elders, but him squinting. Zhuo Fan locked his eyes on Vicious Pill King if battle erupted. Vicious Pill King posed the biggest threat. Long Jiu and the others would suffer at this old dog's poisonous tricks. Before anything happened, he had to remove this danger from the equation. This may diverge from Zhuo Fan's original plan. But things kept coming one after the other. Who knew it would come to this? I have no choice but to be firm with my decisions and get rid of this headache first. Zhuo Fan slowly moved, boring into Vicious Pill King with killing intent. Yen Song was in the dark regarding Zhuo Fan's threat. Killing him would be easy when his guard was down. Jian Suifeng, and Long Jiu noticed his eyes and understood. He came to a decision. Trading blows here was the same as falling out with Regent Estate and the other 3 houses. The 7 houses' war would erupt. None of them could see if this was a fortune or disaster for their house. What they did know was that the die was cast and they had to strike. Hold on. Huangpu Qingyan shouted to stop everyone in place, and he looked at Chu Qingqing. Qingqing, think this through. Are you going to side with them? Chu Qingqing wiped the blood from her mouth and stepped in front of the others. She turned to Zhuo Fan, then the black cloak, and her eyes steeled. Yes, I have never been more certain. Fine, be that way. I wish you all a long life. Huangpu Qingyan spat the last 2 words with thick sarcasm. Evident of the rancor and curses running through his head, he said his piece and left with his group. As they passed by Zhuo Fan, he gave a laughter seeping with contempt. Punk, Drifting Flowers edifice never had males. Are you? Ha ha ha. Hold up. Where did you get that idea? Zhuo Fan raised a taunting eyebrow. Wasn't Chu Qingtian a man? His actions were foolish, true, but he was a man through and through. He hid for a decade for Drifting Flowers edifice, only to die at Drifting Flowers edifice's hands. Yet this pitiful hero was now viewed as a black-stained Zhuo Fan, didn't condone such idiotic behavior. Why would anyone throw away their lives for a bunch of broads who treated men like nothing more than tools, only using them to secure their little sanctuary? That was no mere idiocy, but downright madness. However, his loyalty was praiseworthy even in Zhuo Fan's eyes. If he was truly a man, it would have been best if he stuck to sleeping with women. Ha ha ha, Huangpu Qingyan mocked. Loathing displayed on his face, Vicious Pill King snickered at Zhuo Fan. making it obvious he was speaking to everyone present. Chu Qingtian was once my disciple. To be honest, his alchemy skill was top-notch, but he was too blinded by pride, holding everyone beneath him. He was a helpless dreamer, believing he alone was enough to refine the antidote and cure Drifting Flower's edifice. The results speak for itself. He is more of a fool than anybody else. Vicious Pill King walked away, pleased after seeing Chu Qingqing clenching her fists, but still couldn't help pouring more salt on the wound. This is a world of men and wisdom. Fools and women that dare covet it will only get burnt. Damn that vicious Pill King. Long Ju knew the ins and out of the situation, and his lone eyes flickered in rage. He looked back at Chu Qingqing to see her trembling in anger. Long Jiu shook his head and whispered to Zhuofan, "Little brother, talk to Chu Chu about the alliance between us 3 houses." "No need." Zhuofan's eyes flickered with coldness and spoke, eyeing the departing group. "That is your matter. What I want is to make that insufferable guy know the true meaning of being a man." Long Jiu's heart seized. He opened his mouth many times, but Zhuofan's unfeeling face stopped him. He never saw Zhuofan looking so scary before. When Huangpu Qingyun's group got back to Drifting Flower's edifice's guest rooms, the vicious Pill King asked, "Second young master, why did you let them go? We were more than enough to deal with them." "Fool!" Huangpu Qingyun berated. "Killing them is easy, but what then? It will incite war among the 7 houses. Even if we win, we will have to pay a heavy price for it." "Second young master, why do you say that?" the others asked. Huangpu Qingyun laughed mockingly and said, "Don't forget, Tianyu holds not just the 7 noble houses, but the 4 pillars." His voice drifted off, but everyone was clear. So Regent Estate's ambition was to reach such a height. In any case, Drifting Flower's edifice is already close to fall. Don't mind those corner dogs. As for Veiled Dragon Pavilion and Sword Marquis's abode, humph, I am now certain they are opposing us. We would have had to deal with them sooner or later. Brilliant, second young master. They all bowed, but each thought differently. Pill King Hall had long surrendered, while Hell Valley was grinning at his enemy's predicament. Veiled Dragon Pavilion kicked an iron board this time. As for Mary Woods's Lin Zetian, he was an opportunist. Seeing others bowing, he did the same to avoid trouble befalling on his head. Meanwhile, Zhuofan walked out of Drifting Flower's edifice's guest room and sighed towards the sun. Yesterday, he was caught up in his own delusion. He thought the world was made of just he and Chu Qingqing, where the others mattered little. Today he re-entered the mortal world and shook his head out of regret. If not for Huangpu Qingyun's disturbance, I would have still been with Chu Qingqing in that quaint house as nothing but simple farmers. But even without yesterday's event, he would have only one day until the 100-pill meeting, where he had to put his plan in motion. His future didn't lay in that quiet farmhouse. I am but a simple worker. Zhuofan sighed at the sky. A white figure suddenly landed, Chu Qingqing. But before he could scream, she took him into the air. "Come with me." An hour later, they landed in the slums again. But they weren't the only ones there this time. There were the Dong siblings, and Xiao. Dandan. Zhuofan was puzzled as to what it was about. Chu Qingqing giggled. "You visited grandmother and my family. Now it's only reasonable that I visit your parents. But it's a way off and can only see your friends for now." Chu Qingqing pulled Zhuofan and invited the others into a small rundown house. Xiao Dandan was dumbstruck. Why is Edifice Lord with him here? She accomplished her master's order by bringing the Dong siblings here, where in fact they were meeting with Edifice Lord. While she was dumbstruck, the Dong siblings were floored. Meeting the evil Xiao Dandan first thing in the morning. They thought Drifting Flower's edifice was about to settle the score with them and were on edge the whole way here. But seeing Edifice Lord holding hands with his brother, their whole world collapsed. Just how did Songyu do it? How did a third-rate clan young master end up with the leader of one of the 7 noble houses? Drifting Flower's edifice. the number one beauty in Tianyu, Chu Qingqing. Sister, I often told you should have caught him first. Now all hope is lost. Dong Tianba stared at the couple. In a daze, Dong Xiaowan lamented inside, not expecting this to happen. How could I have known Brother Songyu and Drifting Flowers Edifice's Lord would have become an item? While they were bitter, Xiao Dandan felt like crying. She finally found herself a worthy man, only to have her boss become her love rival. What could she possibly do now? The three were now more bitter than ever. Chapter 125. Yours truly does not and will not owe favors. Chapter 125. Yours truly does not and will not owe favors. Sit down and relax. Many delicacies had already been laid on a worn and old table, courtesy of Chu Qingqing's cooking. She was still hiding her face behind the veil, but her every gesture and elegant demeanor made her seem like the perfect wife. Her tone was neither haughty nor overbearing. She acted just like any ordinary young wife receiving faraway guests. The trio stiffly took seats. They had Chu Qingqing's invitation, but this does not mean that their heart was at ease. On the contrary, Zhuo Fan was feeling right at home after having spent time with Chu Qingqing the past few days. His movements were casual and frank. He spoke normally, like a simple family. Dong Tianba began to envy him. Lil, bro must have had quite the heavenly fortune for Chu Qingqing to look at him. Xiao, Dandan, and Dong Xiaowan were staring at him all this time. But Chu Qingqing's presence left them sour inside. They felt inadequate in front of such a world-class beauty that they lowered their heads. They passed the day in a peaceful and cheerful manner. Once dusk was setting in, Chu Qingqing sighed. It's getting late, and we should part ways. What parting do you speak of when tomorrow's the 100-pill meeting? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, shaking her head in sorrow. Chu Qingqing pulled his hand and said to the rest, "Come with me." She walked ahead, with others rushing to catch up. They soon turned to a lonely road where a worn-out carriage stood. That carriage belonged to none other than the Song clan. Zhuo Fan reappropriated. There were also 6 people standing close to it. Dong Tianba's 4 elders and the Peony and Iris overseers standing at the front of the group. This caught them by surprise, not understanding what was going on. Go. Chu Qingqing pointed at the carriage. Leave by night and make haste in hiding your clans. You may still have a chance to survive. What's going on? Edifice Lord Chu Chu. Why are you driving us away? Did we offend you? Dong Tianba cried. So scared his legs were quaking, Chu Qingqing shook her head. Forgive me. It is not your fault, but mine. I didn't want to drag you into this, but Huangpu Qingyun is petty. I fear he will strike you out of spite. Huangpu the regent estate. Dong Tianba was alarmed, on the verge of tears. Why would regent estate be involved with us? We did nothing to them. Your Dong clan has not been destroyed, so why are you crying? Zhuo Fan snorted and turned to Chu Qingqing. What are you planning? Don't do anything stupid. There's still room to turn this around. Chu Qingqing shook her head and caressed his cheek. I know what I'm doing. Just that I need your help with something. Zhuo Fan eyed her suspiciously. She pulled Xiao Dandan, who was still in shock, and rested her hand in Zhuo Fan's. Please watch over Dandan. She may very well be the last member of our Drifting Flowers Edifice House. Edifice Lord. Xiao Dandan was panicking, and Zhuo Fan paled. But before he could speak, Chu Qingqing stopped them. This is my last wish. You have to do this for me. Chu Qingqing took her storage ring and gave it to Xiao Dandan. Dandan, take this with you on your journey with Songyu to his clan. But you can only look inside once you arrive. Take care of your husband and don't be so willful, all right? Xiao Dandan nodded in tears. Peony Overseer found it unbearable as she shouted, It's late, leave quickly. If they find you, you won't get another chance. Dong Tianba didn't understand, but was clear to the danger. Rushing inside the carriage with his sister Zhuo Fan, knew Chu Qingqing wanted to give Drifting Flowers Edifice a chance at revival. He had a plan in mind, but wasn't sure it was foolproof. So he followed Chu Qingqing's wishes and pulled Xiao Dandan into the carriage. At worst, he'd come back once they were far enough. His firm actions made Peony Overseer filled with anger. Songyu, look after my disciple, or I will never let you off. Humph, your disciple is big now. She can take care of herself. Zhuo Fan shirked all responsibility and whipped the horses. Peony Overseer stomped her foot in anger, watching the carriage drifting further away. Humph! I told you men aren't reliable. Once he gets wind of trouble, he flees. He jumped in with no hesitation. Choo-choo! Was it worth entrusting everything to that man? Iris Overseer frowned, shaking her head. Chu Ching-ching said, Aren't all our hopes resting on them leaving safely? What more is there to say? Yet, she couldn't fight back the tears, feeling disappointed by Zhuo Fan's last act. We will never see each other again. Can't you at least show some reluctance for the sake of all the precious little time we spent together? But they were unaware what Zhuo Fan was thinking. Their thoughts were completely worlds apart from each other. They took this as a final parting, while Zhuo Fan took it as making a delivery. He'd be dropping off Xiao Dandan to a safe place before running straight back. I'm only a delivery boy, and soon will come back running. What final? What parting? Let us return. Tomorrow we have a bitter fight on our hands. Chu Ching-ching took a deep breath to rein in her emotions, then flew back. The overseers were right behind her. Night came, and soon darkness gave way to the sun's rays. Chu Ching-ching stood alone in her room, watching the grandiose building outside. It was the place where the 100-pill meeting was held, and their final battle. Choo-choo! Iris Overseer flashed next to her and nodded. Everything's ready. All that's left is for that old dog to come. Good. Chu Ching-ching's eyes flashed with resolve. Drifting Flowers edifice may fall, but that old dog will go down with it. Blood for blood. Let's go. Meanwhile, Zhuo Fan rode the carriage all night and was now 100 miles out of Drifting Flower City. He thought it was enough, loosened the reins, and jumped down. All right, you guys leave. I'm going back. Darling, wait. Xiao Dandan cried out from inside. You can't go back. Won't you make Sister Ching-ching's sacrifice in vain? Who's your darling? Don't shout without thinking. Isn't Chu Ching-ching your edifice lord? What a cheeky disciple calling her sister. Reddening, Xiao Dandan replied coyly. Isn't it because you are my husband? Edifice Lord has given my hand to you personally. So, you are my husband in every sense of the word. And Edifice Lord is your wife as well. What else can I do but call her sister? What? When did Chu Ching-ching become my wife? Zhuo Fan was floored, scratching his head. Dong Tianba stuck out of the carriage and sighed. Bro, how are you so slow in the head? Both of you were so close in that broken house that even a blind man could see you two are married. How could you not? What she said should have been an obvious enough hint. Yesterday, you visited her family. Today, she visited your friends. What else could it be if not to show everyone that you two were married? That can't be. I always thought she saw me as her younger brother to relive her old warm memories. How Zhuo Fan was dumbfounded. He, a demon through and through, with his nose always deep plotting against others, was clueless in matters between a man and a woman. Even if he were to engage in such acts, it would only be a stepping stone for a greater purpose, faking through it all. He had never ever truly experienced romantic love. Xiao Dandan watched Zhuo Fan cautiously as she muttered. Then, darling, let me ask you, did you see her face? Don't call me that. Zhuo Fan shook away her approaching hand in loathing, then thought about it. I have twice. Then it is indeed so. Edifice Lord has never married before. If a man were to see her face, she would either kill him off or resign her duty as Edifice Lord and marry him. Xiao Dandan raised an eyebrow. Since husband is safe and sound, it speaks of Sister Choo-choo's decision of recognizing you as a husband. Zhuo Fan suddenly recalled the moment he made a sneak attack on Choo-choo for her Bodhi Jade sap, only to take her face cover. She was deeply conflicted then. She was hesitating whether to kill me or to marry me. That was way too dangerous. If not for my boyish charm and dashing good looks that no woman on this wide green earth can resist, Chu Ching would have killed me by now. Hee, what can I say? I'm too much of a dashing rogue, only matched by my luck. Wait, aren't I song you now? Zhuo Fan's confidence hit rock bottom. At least the kid's pretty face had some use and saved my life. Or maybe it was my wonderful personality that won her over. Zhuo Fan sank in delusions. But what he didn't take into consideration was where exactly did the wonderful part fit a demon like him, darling. If you still don't believe me, the ring sister, Chu Chu, gave has to be holding that item. His constant hesitation led Xiao Dandan to defy the task entrusted to her by Chu Ching. She took out the item in the ring, all to justify her position as his wife after the light dimmed. 3 things appeared in front of everyone's eyes. One was the black cloak Zhuo Fan already saw, and the second a small bottle. He also knew this contained the Bodhi jade sap. He immediately snatched it, overcome with joy. I've run all over the place for this, only to fall so easily in my lap. Ha ha! Xiao Dandan said, the Bodhi jade sap is Sister Ching's dowry. If you take it, then you are accepting Sister Ching and me. Xiao Dandan blushed at the last part. Zhuo Fan was in a daze. After he heard what she said, all smiles were wiped from his face. He was a demonic emperor that had no scruples, but never ever owed favors. It would have been better if he had stolen it. Yet the fact remained that it was given to him by someone, along with a free gift attached. If he took it, then he had to accept the gift, but accepting Xiao Dandan. Ha ha ha. Sorry, but the first impression I have of you already ruined it for me. I won't be taking you. Now he turned to the third item, a wooden piece of wood with the words, beloved wife, Chu Ching's memorial tablet, written on it. Zhuo Fan's eyes squinted and cried, what is this? Xiao Dandan sighed. I shouldn't be telling you this, but I once heard Master mention that they were ready to fall with the vicious Pill King. Damnation! You think they'll succeed to drag that old geezer down when they couldn't even keep this plan hidden from a mere disciple? Humph! A bunch of foolish women going to their doom. Zhuo Fan rained curses. Then he looked at the Bodhi jade sap and snickered. Yours truly does not, and will not owe favors. He took the items into his ring and ran towards Drifting Flower City, disappearing from sight. Dong Tianba and the rest were restless. He was a loafer, but not a fool. If the overseers and the Lord were in a bitter fight, didn't that mean Drifting Flowers edifice was the worst place to be right now? Would Zhuo Fan get out alive if he returned? Damn it! Darling won't be able to come back if he goes. We need to go after him. Xiao Dandan, cried Dong Xiaowan, was also anxiously watching her brother, pleading. Dong Tianba gnashed his teeth and ordered, let's go! I cannot allow my brother to face dangers alone again. Chapter 126, Complete Betrayal. Chapter 126, Complete Betrayal. The Drifting Flowers Arena was more than 100 meters tall, spanning a few kilometers, the largest building in Drifting Flower City. This was where the 100-pill meeting was being held. It was divided into 3 layers in a circular shape. The first layer was where the competitors met. It was the stage where thousands of cauldrons spread across the entire floor. The second layer was for the second and third-rated clans who came to spectate. The third layer was for the glorious clans of Tianyu Empire. This layer hosted terraces, which acted as stands for the honorable guests of the 7 noble houses. Chu Ching and her 2 overseers stood in the host terrace. Furthest from the arena, the Bodhi root was placed on the pedestal, the prize of today's competition. The winner would have the glory of stepping forward and snatching Drifting Flowers edifice's greatest treasure. None wanted to admit it, but they were clear it would be none other than Vicious Pill King. Is everything ready? Did that old dog notice? Chu Ching's eyes flashed. Peony overseer nodded. I task the ones I trust the most with this. That stage contains a dragon prison array. Not even the old dog can escape it once he enters. What of Huangpu Qingyan? Chu Ching looked to the eastern stand with worry. The eastern stand also has a barrier placed. They won't get the chance to intervene when the time comes. So, we will finally settle the score with that old dog. Then I can rest easy. Chu Chinching sighed. Senior sisters, this old dog isn't to be trifled with. Even if we three attack together, we may kill him. But we will also shortly after succumb to his poison. I don't mind dying, just that senior sisters will end up accompanying me. Chinching, you don't need to say it. Iris, overseer, patted her hand. We have promised, grandmother, to help you without fail. As Drifting Flowers edifice is about to die, then let it die with a bang. We will tell the world that women are not easy targets. Chu Qingcheng was moved and squeezed their hands. The three shared deep feelings for each other. Why haven't the other overseers arrived yet? Chu Qingcheng found it unusual the other two were also puzzled suddenly. A wizened voice followed by familiar figures appeared before them. Ha ha ha. Edifice Lord Chu, are you looking for them perhaps? The three's eyes were wide in shock. Behind Vicious Pill King stood 8 ladies in different colors and veils on their faces. They were none other than 8 of the Drifting Flowers edifice's 15 edifices. Overseers, the 8 avoided looking at the 3, lowering their heads in shame. Why you all? She knew they were under Yen Song's poison, but never thought they would stand in the open by that old dog's side. This was a naked betrayal. Peony Overseer was livid and couldn't even find words to speak. Chu Qingcheng rested her hands on the Peony Overseer to soothe her anger. Her tone was flat towards the 8 women. I feel your pain, and I don't blame you. I just hope you will take care of yourselves, leaving this dreaded place as far behind as possible. Edifice Lord. The 8 were sobbing, but did not show their appreciation for her words because of Vicious Pill King's threat. Humph! What a soft edifice, Lord. However, I wonder if you'll show the same softness to them. Vicious Pill King snickered and clapped 3 times. 5 figures flashed, and the trio paled. They were the rest of the overseers of all the overseers. Everyone sided with Pill King Hall, except for Peony and Iris overseers. They each had their reasons. But this was without a doubt the true power of Drifting Flowers edifice coming out in full force. Chu Qingcheng shivered and could no longer keep calm. She was unaware Vicious Pill King was so thorough in stripping them of their power. They had no way to even fight back. Overseer Chunyu, you are the oldest among us. How is it that even you, Peony Overseer, glared at one of the 5 people? The person was calm. However, Drifting Flowers edifice's power waned, and I could only look elsewhere for safety. I urge you to find your own and not do something you should not. At her odd words, Chu Qingcheng looked doubtful at Peony Overseer. Peony Overseer bit her lip, filled with regret and anguish. Forgive me, Qingcheng. I have trusted that matter to her. I thought she was still trustworthy, but... Chu Qingcheng trembled and her body swayed. Despair swallowed her eyes. She knew what Peony Overseer was referring to. The array to counter Vicious Pill King when he got the Bodhi root. The one tasked with it turned out to be a traitor. It was clear the Vicious Pill King was privy to all their plans. Their last chance to end this old dog had failed. I already told you. Drifting Flowers edifice is under my complete control. All your efforts are useless. Why not spare yourselves the ordeal? Vicious Pill King cackled and waved his hand. Clattering resounded as sparkling spirit stones landed at their feet. They were the ones to be used for the dragon prison array. By the way, I also managed to undo the barrier on the eastern stand. We can't have the second young master watch the 100 pill meeting from behind a barrier, now can we? You've been most rude to Regent Estate, ha ha ha. Vicious Pill King descended the stairs laughing. With the traitorous overseers having little choice but to follow with their heads down, this made all onlookers watch, slack-jawed. Why were 13 overseers following the Vicious Pill King? Any man with a brain would know that the Drifting Flowers edifice had now lost most of their power. Ha ha ha, edifice Lord Chu. See how I take your precious treasure through legitimate means. Vicious Pill King laughed. At the bottom of the stairs, Chu Qingcheng's eyes felt like they were in a fog. She clenched her fist so hard that scarlet blood flowed. Peony Overseer was overcome by guilt as tears flowed unimpeded. Qingcheng hit me. It's all my fault for ruining everything. Peony Overseer, how could you be so dazed to let others know of our plan? Chu Ching Ching stood there frozen. It felt like the sky collapsed her heart in pieces. Iris Overseer sent a reproaching glare to Peony Overseer and sighed what would be the point in pointing fingers when the matter was done. Vicious Pill King achieved victory in the most anticlimactic way possible. All that was left was for them to wait for him to strut and claim his prize, Old Dog Yen Song. Don't think it's that easy to take our treasure. A shout echoed, and Yen Song looked over only to snicker. I wonder who it was. But then I saw it was only you, old hag. It was Drifting Flowers Edifice's best alchemist. Aunt Tao flashed beside Chu Ching Ching and said, Girl, don't cry, we haven't lost yet. Humph, empty words. When I last saw you 2 decades ago, you were but a 6th grade alchemist, while I am a 7th. After all this time, you would still come up short of my skill, even if you can refine a 7th grade pill. Humph, that remains to be seen. Time can change anything. Don't think you'll get anywhere near the Bodhi root with me around. Vicious Pill King mocked. Old hag, show me if all those years were of any help. Vicious Pill King flicked his sleeve and left with his entourage. Chu Ching Ching looked at Aunt Tao with hope. Aunt Tao, can you truly win? Aunt Tao let out a downcast sigh, her previous vigor sapped. Silly girl, I was only pretending. The Vicious Pill King is indeed the best alchemist in Tianyu. You're saying we're hopeless, then? Chu Ching Ching's eyes were now dead. With the last burning kindling of hope put out, Aunt Tao felt pained as she spoke. That may not be the case. Regardless of how strong an alchemist is, failing in refining speaks louder. If an alchemist is distracted in mid-refining, then the pill would most likely end up in failure. Not even Vicious Pill King, with decades of refining experience, could escape such predicament. You're saying there's still hope? Chu Ching Ching's eyes sparkled. As well as the other 2 overseers, Aunt Tao's heart could not bear their pure eyes, but forced a nod. Though she knew Vicious Pill King's decades of experience forged him a steady mind. How could he make such a rudimentary mistake? In the case she failed 10 times at refining, Vicious Pill King may never fail, even once sighing. Aunt Tao dragged her body down the stairs. I will go prepare. Don't be discouraged. We still have a chance. All this senior could do was give these young ladies words of comfort. Even if she herself did not believe in them, her word had the desired effect, and Chu Ching Ching looked livelier. The trio watched Aunt Tao with hope. Yet this last hope of theirs was an old woman walking to certain death while also having one foot in the grave. Chapter 127, Gathering of Experts. Chapter 127, Gathering of Experts. After the courtesy had been being slowly dispensed at the 100-pill meeting, the clan's delegates stepped in the widespread arena. Meanwhile, the guests had slowly gathered, and the audience seated Regent Estate, Hell Valley, Pill King Hall, and Mary Woods were guided to the eastern stand. Huangpu Qingyin watched the prize on the pedestal, already sporting a winner's attitude, and smiled on the other hand. The Veiled Dragon Pavilion, Sword Marquis Abode, and the ones who stood in favor of Drifting Flowers Edifice were guided to the western stand. Long Jiao was with Xia Tianyang and the rest, watching the endless stream of people with a critical eye. However, there was no sign of Zhuo Fan. If this kid doesn't show, who will deal with the Vicious Pill King? Seconds ticked by, then minutes, as the arena was gradually filled with contestants. Oh, if it isn't Master Huang, you're also competing? Yeah, everyone aims for higher standing. Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting happens once every few decades. How could I not come? Ha ha ha, I'm the same. I hope to rise in fame as well. Even if I cannot enter Drifting Flowers Edifice, I can at least make an impression on some of the first-rate clans. Isn't that Master Zhang? It's an honor to meet you. Oh, Master Chen, such an honor. The competition had yet to begin, and the contestants were greeting each other. Suddenly, an elderly with a powerful aura stepped in, with a split mustache on the corners of his mouth. He glowed with confidence before his presence. Everyone halted what they were doing. Aren't you the head alchemist of the Shimin clan of thriving city, Luisian? Shimin clan is a first-rate clan, and you're even their head alchemist. Why on earth did you come here? Yeah, everyone has heard of your skill already. You earned second place at the Great Alchemy Tournament in the Imperial Capital. You were but seconds behind completing your refining, only to end up forfeiting the first place to the Peking Hall's genius disciple, Yen Fu. You are already well known. So why come to this competition among nameless juniors? Indeed, you are a famous grandmaster, a glorious fifth-grade alchemist. So why come to this competition? You should give us all a chance too. Everyone was complaining when Lu Yijin showed up. Yet the elder had a faint smile and a poised face, as if he relished every bit of rancor aimed at him. Ha ha ha, I may have a bit of a name in alchemy, but I still have so much to learn. I have come today not to seek fame, but to open my eyes and learn from everyone. As if, who are you kidding? You clearly came to enter Drifting Flower's edifice. Everyone here knows Shimin is great, but they are still not one of the 7 noble houses. He was looked down on and despised by everyone. The result of the contestants' deep-seated fear Luisian was greatly known throughout the empire for his alchemy. They would have no chance now that he was here. More and more reproachful gazes settled on him, but he responded with a haughty attitude, as though he was the king of the world. Settle down, everyone. A sweet voice, soothing to the ear, came. It was followed by a young lady in a violet dress who floated down from the sky silence and soothed so deeply that the clamor before seemed more like an illusion. The lady nodded. Pleased, greetings and welcome competitors to our Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting. I am the judge of today's competition, Xiaoya. Clap. Xiaoya clapped lightly, and a string of demure girls appeared in a line, with each settling at every cauldron this time. Every participant will be accompanied by one of our disciples to prevent cheating. Drifting Flowers Edifice is truly great, settling every detail. Lu Yijin was the first to gush praises and give his thumbs up. Indeed, with a beauty around, refining will be a breeze. This young master appreciates it, ha ha ha. They all sighed in admiration. Only one of the 7 houses could employ such a method. To have thousands of alchemists paired with one disciple, each Xiaoyu extended her hands at the 20 most prominent cauldrons. Everyone has different masteries, and alchemists are no different. These 20 cauldrons are for the most outstanding alchemists. If you are confident, please stand in one of them. The arena was quiet. The majority of the thousands of alchemists here were of equal skill. There was no way to know who was the best, except for a few superior figures around who could say they were in the top 20 in this group. Lu Yijin twirled his mustache, his face beaming with pride. Ha ha ha, alchemists may appear to be refining on the surface, but they are actually refining their mind. Without even a bit of confidence, will one be able to make any passable pill? Grandmaster Lu is right. We don't know who among us is the best, but he is definitely among them. Someone instantly spoke for Lu Yijin, laughing towards the sky with pride. Lu Yijin continued, I am not conceited, only confident as an alchemist. To refine great pills, one must believe he is the best alchemist in the world. As such, I will not shy from my duty. Lu Yijin strutted to the first cauldron while laughing, but his third step was welcomed by a cold shout, You're in my way! Beat it! Yen Fu stomped by him. Lu Yijin faltered, and his face twitched, cursing inside. Damn it! Why is this rotten prick here as well? Why join the 100-pill meeting when he's already in Peking Hall? Isn't he the winner of the Great Alchemy Tournament in the Imperial Capital? Yen Fu of Peking Hall? Why is he here? Someone recognized him and also peeked at Lu Yijin's frozen state, whispering, Grandmaster Lu, your opponent is here. What if? Ha ha ha. Yen Fu is indeed an alchemy genius seen once a century. He managed to win last time. So, let him have this one. while I take the second cauldron. I truly admire Grandmaster Lu's modesty. Lu Yijin's light tone earned the crowd's praise. A true Grandmaster. But how would they know Lu Yijin was cursing Yen Fu in his heart? Wretched spawn. You got ahead of me in the imperial capital, and now you followed me to the 100-pill meeting. Are you being hard on me on purpose? In the middle of his inner rant, an aged voice came. If you're not going, stand aside. An elderly shoved him, slowly moving forward. That green face got everyone scared. Lu Yijin almost jumped in fright. Who is that old woman? Such a scary face. Is she also an alchemist? Lu Yijin watched her figure dumbfounded. Why her too? Grandmaster Lu, do you know her? Lu Yijin was close to cursing again. Of course I do. 30 years ago, when I was a second-grade alchemist, Sage Dr. Tao made a name for herself as a 5th-grade alchemist. She is as famous as the vicious Pill King. But isn't she the head alchemist of the Drifting Flowers edifice? What is she doing here? His words spread shock to others. There was actually someone equally renowned as Vicious Pill King. No one had seen this coming. The small 100-pill meeting was now a gathering of experts. But Lu Yijin's forlorn figure eased their shock. Grandmaster Lu, don't be so down. Isn't there a third spot? It definitely belongs to Grandmaster Lu. Lu Yijin took a deep breath and stood up straighter as his eyes spat out flames of rage. It is as you said. I may not be the first or the second, but winners always come in threes. Even in Thoid Place, it will not be the least bit lacking from the first two. Ah, Grandmaster Lu, that's just self-comforting. They now realized their words of comfort were wasted on Grandmaster Lu. Could contort anything to be positive. Don't block my way. Take a hike. Then, another aged man shouted. A green figure passed through the crowd, his eyes sending shivers through their bodies. Vicious Pill King. Yen Song. This scared them witless. Vicious Pill King, the head alchemist of Pill King Hall, was joining the 100-pill meeting as well. The hell is he doing here? For heaven's sake, you're the best in the Empire for crying out loud. Can you be any more obnoxious? Grandmaster Lu, your 3rd place seems to be gone. Someone sympathized with Lu Yijin's situation. His lips trembled, and Lu Yijin felt more wronged than ever watching the three up there. Just then, someone ran into him hard, ruining his calm and lofty image as he broke out a string of curses. We are all damn famous here, all right? Why in goddamned heaven are all of you taking part in this competition? Stealing my seat? You're going too damn far. The crowd froze, their faces twitching. They all thought to themselves, you're one to talk. Chapter 128. Qing Tian's back. Chapter 128. Qing Tian's back. Lu Yijin ended up in 4th place, behind Yen Fu, Tao Danyang, and the Vicious Pill King. In spite of all that, he accepted his spot without any complaints. As for who was behind him, he had other more important things on his mind. Right now, the rest of the spots were taken by people of renowned and unquestionable skill. Xiaoya smiled. Everyone else, please move to the area in accordance with your clan strength. The first-rate clans in front, second-rate clans in the middle, and third-rate clans in the back. Please take your positions. This method also showed their relevant alchemy skills. It was a common fact first-rate clans were better than second, who were better than the third. It was also made easy for the great clans in the stands to see their abilities. It would have been an embarrassment if the third-rate clans would have started making protests. Drifting Flowers Edifice's consideration for everyone earned the admiration of many great clans. The alchemists had nothing to say, moving to their spots. Now that thousands of alchemists were in the arena, they were ready for the competition to begin. A bronze cauldron was laid before them, with a gorgeous Drifting Flowers edifice disciple beside it with everyone seated. Xiaoya smiled as she explained the details of the 100-pill meeting. The competition is divided into 3 rounds. Contestants will be eliminated in each round, and only the top 20 alchemists will be worthy of stepping onto the final round, where we will finally decide on who is the Pill King. In other words, Drifting Flowers Edifice only cared about the first 20 alchemists, the participants, were sporting serious faces. They knew it would be hard, but it was not that disastrously hard of the thousands of alchemists. Only 20 would be allowed entry in the final round. These 20 were without a doubt the best alchemists the Tianyu Empire had to offer. With their spots set, their position would be unshakable. It could be said that not even 300 rounds would be enough for the other contestants to get a chance to earn one of the 20 spots. The participants were vexed. While the 20 on the stage looked on with smiles of pride, Xiao, you had a flash of contempt in her eyes as she continued. This meeting has gathered a wide variety of renowned alchemists from every corner of the empire. For this, Drifting Flowers Edifice prepared their most prized treasure as a reward for the winner. Xiao clapped, and 2 disciples brought a red wooden box on the pedestal. Xiao, you flipped it open, something akin to a green root appeared before everyone. What was even more astonishing was that the root throbbed like a heart. Drifting Flowers Edifice's Bodhi root. None saw this coming. Drifting Flowers Edifice was staking their most amazing treasure in this meeting. Only a handful knew the true reason behind it, squinting when the item in question appeared on stage. Elder Yen, you must get it. Huangpu Qinyun clenched his fists in the eastern stand, eyeing the root with yearning. On the first stage, Vicious Pill King licked his lips, his heart throbbing to get his hands on it. He knew it was real too. All he had to do was win, and the Bodhi root was his. Humph, old dog, with me here, don't even dream of getting it. Tao Danyang snorted, snickering. Vicious Pill King mocked. Just you? How? Lu Yijin realized now why Drifting Flowers Edifice's 100-pill meeting attracted these 2 towering figures of alchemy in the empire. They all came for this treasure. Lu Yijin wiped his sweat and cried in his heart, forget about even winning against them. Even if fantasy became reality, and he managed to win, with 2 tigers glaring at him, taking it would be a one-way ticket to the underworld. Curses! I shouldn't have come here. Lu Yijin regretted it until his insides turned green. It was too late now, though. Now that he was on stage, he'd lose his name if his performance was subpar. He considered himself fortunate that he was not on their level, and losing wasn't that much of a big deal. Lu Yijin sighed, happily for the first time in life, that he was doomed to lose. His thoughts would have widened no few pairs of eyes. Grandmaster Lu, didn't you say just now that one has to be confident when refining? Why are you quitting before even starting? Each had their own thoughts, yet most decided to take a step back on this. In such an ardent competition, they didn't have the nerve to join. Xiaoyu noticed the prevalent atmosphere, but ignored it. The target of the first round is a first-grade pill. Those that already took a step back shivered with confidence. Is there anyone who can't make it? Why the hell would we come here if we can't make one damned first-grade pill? Xiaoyu continued. A first grade is simple, but the method isn't, as well as the efficiency. In this first round, you will be competing with your refining skills. The alchemist must accomplish the refining of a first-grade pill as soon as possible. Only the quickest 100 can advance. What? This crushed their kindling hope to dust. A competition involving thousands of participants had the first round eliminating most of them. Was it really necessary to be so cruel? I have with me a little bell, as do the Drifting Flowers Edifice's disciples. One ring gives the start and another the end. And begin. Ding. Xiaoyu directly rang her bell. The competitors were startled, then scrambled to get out their Yuan Qi flame and begin refining. The top 20 alchemists sneered. Not at all hurried. It was more accurate to call this round a test of one's mind than that of speed. Getting worked up over such a minor thing, not even a third-grade alchemist would be able to refine a first-grade pill. A bunch of morons. Vicious Pill King laughed coldly. His hand revealed a scarlet flame, and he threw 6 ingredients inside. Under the naked eye, each ingredient was refined. Every one of the 20 alchemists could do it, albeit not at the same speed. Lu Yijin sighed. He is truly the best in the empire. Even when refining a first-grade pill, it shows how skillful he is. Tao Danyang was the second fastest. She wasn't at all pleased, but was aware of her limits. Vicious Pill King mocked her. I only used half of my skill. Just thought you should know. It's best you give up now if you can't do even this. Stop wasting your energy. Humph. Tao Danyang snorted. She knew it was a trick of his to shake her heart up on the terrace. Chu Qingqing's group was watching the two closely. They were worried since the difference in their speed was so great. Urgent footsteps approached as an elderly shouted, Chu, where's the kid who was with you? Chu Qingqing turned to find Long Jiao, Xie Tianyang, and Jian Suifeng watching her group in anxiety. It was too dangerous here, and I made him leave. Chu Qingqing watched them strangely, not knowing what their connection was with Song Yu to be so worried about him, but her words threw them in a panic. What? He left. Then who is competing with Vicious Pill King? Xie Tianyang asked, unsettled. This baffled Chu Qingqing and the two overseers. How could a mere third-rate clan young master be a match for Vicious Pill King? Humph! Forget about facing Vicious Pill King. When that brat left, he didn't even waste time. Peony Overseer recalled Zhuo's attitude with coldness. Long Jiao's group was gloomy. Zhuo Fan ran. So what were they staying around here for, as patsies? He was the one who mentioned a lying, and they even offended Regent Estate for his sake. Yet he was the first to run away without hesitation. Bastard! Did he just sell me out again? Xie Tianyang frowned and spat in rage. Then a sudden sobbing came. It was Xiao Dandan and the Dong siblings running up the stairs. Chu Qingqing was anxious. Why are you back? Sister Qingqing, master. Darling left us behind and rushed back. Did you see him? What? Song, you came back as well? Chu Qingqing's group raised their eyebrows in shock. Before they could find out more, Xie Tianyang jumped in. Sister-in-law, you're saying that Punk didn't leave and came back instead? Ha, he didn't sell me out. Where is he, tell me? Xiao Dandan didn't even get to reply to the sister-in-law. Part as Xie Tianyang was immediately actively searching for Zhuo Fan through the thousands of participants. Damn it! The Vicious Pill Kings, almost done. Iris Overseer gnashed her teeth. They all focused on the old man, and indeed, the Vicious Pill King's pill needed only a few seconds. More Tao Danyang, however, needed a minute. They all knew what that meant. The first round had its winner, and their mood sank. Tao Danyang couldn't gain the advantage, even when refining a first-grade pill, which spoke volumes of how their competition would be when refining higher-graded pills. Chu Qingqing's heart sank to the bottom of the abyss. Her final hope was fading. Yan Fu saw Vicious Pill King's pill and bowed. Master, you're the best there is. Naturally. Vicious Pill King laughed, throwing a mocking glance towards Tao Danyang. A ding sounded at that moment. Far in the third-rated clan's area, the bell rang. There was someone here who could refine faster than the best alchemist in the empire. Who? Whoosh! They turned to see where the ringing came from, but what appeared before them was a black-robed figure with the heaven-toppling pale words inscribed on it. Chu Qing Tian. Yan Fu's eyelids trembled as he cried out. Chapter 129. Show of Skill. Chapter 129. Show of Skill. Qing Tian. Chu Qingqing's eyes were glazed. Long Jiao and Jian Suifeng sported a wide grin, then laughed to their heart's content, having a heavy stone relieved from their shoulders. Ha. Chu, you're wrong. That's not Qing Tian, but that brat. It was now that a crisp voice came from that direction. Nitrain City Song Clan Song Yu. First grade pill has been completed. What Song Clan? Who on earth is that? We've never heard of it. Shock after shock. Every single one of the people there stood speechless. A nameless alchemist hailing from a nameless clan stole the first spot in the 100-pill meeting's first round, stepping over the best alchemist in the empire, the Vicious Pill King. Just who is this Song Yu? What's his did he cheat? How did he refine so quickly? Under everyone's admiring gazes, Zhuo Fan swaggered from the third area and onto the first spot. That narcissistic attitude was as if he was on top of the world and asking for a smacking. Thankfully, this was Drifting Flowers' edifice, or the thousands of participants would have jumped him. Go ahead, enjoy it while you can. Look, it's darling. Xiao, Dandan cried, and the Dong siblings whipped their heads. Chu Qingqing frowned and grumbled. Damn brat! Why did I get you to leave early? So you could return? Despite her harsh words, her heart was filled with warmth. This showed he was not the heartless man he led her to believe. In her most desperate hour, he chose to return and spend this last part of their journey together. The other two overseers' anger for him went up in smoke. At least this man has a conscience. On the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyin glared at Zhuo Fan with the full intent to kill, clenching his fists in anger. He, second young master, wants that brat's life? It will be simple to do. Just let us get the Bodhi root first, second young master. Then I will deal with him personally. Hell Valley's fifth elder saw his anger and jumped at the chance to earn his favor before vicious Pill King stole this one. Huangpu Qingyun only nodded. His hatred for Zhuo Fan seeped into his bones. Not only did he steal his wife, but he talked back to him at the feast. Yet again, this man was going against him. However, killing him himself was beneath his standing. The key was that he did not wish to earn Chu Qingqing's resentment. He still hoped for the day when his betrayal would be forgotten and she would return to him, but this man suddenly showed up, preventing that from ever happening. Zhuo Fan did notice that two pairs of eyes watched hopefully as he slowly strutted to the first stage. He was afraid he didn't garner enough hatred. Finishing his act with a sidelong glance at the vicious Pill King, not even vicious Pill King could stay calm after such obvious contempt. So he poured all his energy into finishing the refining. He relaxed after the ding was heard next to him and bore his eyes toward Zhuo Fan. You little shit! What the hell are you staring at? Wanna die? Are you threatening me? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow and kicked at the alchemy table next to the cauldron and cursed. What do you think? I'm afraid of you? What an idiot! Clamor erupted. Where did he come from? Where does he get the nerve to curse the vicious Pill King? Even the other 19 alchemists had to reel from this, almost ruining their refining. Got it. Where the hell did this brat pop out from? He's too much. The rage got to vicious Pill King so badly that he was turning from green to purple. If not for fear of this indirect strike unnerving his mind, he would have long slapped the punk into the grave. Vicious Pill King took deep breaths to calm his anger. He couldn't let impulsiveness ruin his plans. Punk, you came to pick a fight with me, and I would have killed you where you stand if not for reasons I cannot say. Reason? You dare talk about goddamn reason? Bam. Zhuo Fan kicked at the alchemy table again, pissed. Old fart, step aside. You're in my spot. Startled, vicious Pill King was stunned for a moment. But Xiao Yi spoke in an apologetic tone. Please excuse us. Elder Yen, young Master Song Yu has earned the right to this table. Your ranking is one step lower. Hear that? Now Shu. Zhuo Fan kicked the alchemy table again. Vicious Pill King took deep breaths, working his hardest to calm down. Wretched bastard. You were just lucky. I will be back the next round. Stepping to the second table, vicious Pill King cursed. Moving is moving, so what's with the kicking? Today's generation has gone out of control. What's it to you? I was kicking my own table. Old farts these days are too short-tempered. Zhuo Fan said as he stood at the number 1 spot. Vicious Pill King reeled at his comeback. His mouth moved, but didn't say a word, while his heart was consumed by hatred. This punk's tongue is too sharp. There's no end talking to him. Once this is over, I'll settle the score. The two looked like they fought over a mere alchemy table, but they were engaged in a battle of the mind. Using this chance to throw the other off his game, no matter how fine and amazing one's refining skill was, it was useless in the hands of one with a frail mind. Vicious Pill King was very close to having his inner peace ruined when the self-important Zhuo Fan strutted in. But as he was a veteran in alchemy, he noticed it fast. Working hard and quelling the anger in his heart, the competition resumed. After Yen, Fu finished his pill. Tao Danyang followed closely behind. Then came Lu Yijin and the rest of the 20 alchemists. As time passed, more and more finished, and the ringing never stopped. As the ringing increased, The hearts of the competitors became more chaotic. Even a first-grade pill had a high chance of failure. The many that failed started refining again in annoyance, but time was running out. Ding. The 100th ring sounded, and Xiao Ye drew the first round to a close by eliminating the rest, the ones who were hard at work in refining froze. They doused their flames and dragged their feet up to the audience, where there were many third-grade alchemists here, but their mind was still lacking. Failing to refine even the most basic pill now, the first 100 participants entered round 2, with one tiny detail off. It wasn't vicious pill master in front, but a third-rate clan young master. Zhuofan, as a result, the 20th alchemist, was kicked from his table. God damn it! Who said the 20 spots were set in stone? It's only been the first round, and I got kicked by a black horse. Even the vicious pill king lost, and was now in second place, and all the others along the line as well. Who knows how many great alchemists are getting kicked out this round? Whether or not black horses were in vogue in this competition, the audience watched on enraptured for the next kicking judge. Vicious Pill King called Xiao Ye's attention. I would like to inspect the kid's pill and check if it was a first-grade pill. I still find it hard to believe someone can beat me at the speed of refining. Yeah, make sure he is not cheating. This got the crowd wild. Vicious Pill King was the best alchemist in Tianyu. It was unbelievable how someone just popped in and dethroned him, especially when it was a rotten punk. He's been weaned just for a few days and he already mastered alchemy? How is that possible? The last one that barely got into the second round was also voicing his complaints. Asking for justice, Xiaoya had no choice as she said to Zhuofan, "Young Master Song, is it possible for you to refine one more time, letting them see your speed?" Casting a side glance, Zhuofan deadpanned, "No, thank you." The crowd went hysterical. Look, he's scared. He doesn't have the nerve to refine another one for us. I knew he smelled fishy. How could he beat so many great alchemists? He's done for. Drifting Flowers Edifice doesn't tolerate cheaters. All denounce him, while Vicious Pill King and his disciple watched with a cold smile. Tao Danyang shook her head. She knew the kid wanted to help Drifting Flowers Edifice, but to get caught cheating meant that not even she could save him. Child, one's mind must remain true and not practice vile methods. You will be the one to suffer in the end. Tao Danyang gave earnest guidance and turned to Xiao Ye, change his position from the first to the last. Xiao Ye nodded to the cheer of the crowd, but Vicious Pill King sneered. Cheating has been found in the 100-pill meeting and you're only eliminating him? Since when did Drifting Flowers Edifice's rule become so lax? The place got rowdy again. Xiao Ye now turned her attention to Chu Qingqing's side and shook her head. This brat caused endless troubles. Vicious Pill King now had a legitimate reason to end him. Escape looked bleak. Long Jiu's group was stunned. A cunning guy like him could make such a mistake. Watching them all with a cold eye, Zhuofan yawned. What gave you the crazy idea that I cheated? I only said that I won't do it again. That just means you're scared. Yan Fu coldly smiled. Feeling good kicking someone when they were down, Zhuofan gave a patronizing glance to all of them. A bunch of idiots. Don't you know I had a gorgeous lady next to me the whole time? How could I cheat? You only need to listen to how yours truly refined it, and you'll know why it took so little time. Zhuofan beckoned towards his previous table. Gorgeous. Please tell them the name of my pill and get them acquainted with real skill. Whoosh. They all then whipped their heads towards his supervisor. Chapter 130, Crooked Path. Chapter 130, Crooked Path. A 16-year-old girl stood at that table, still young and unaware of the true world. With so many looking at her, she couldn't help but blush and fidget. Xiao Lian, you don't need to be so nervous. Just speak up. Xiao Ye smiled. Xiao Lian regained some of her calm by taking a deep breath, but looking at Zhuofan's pill in her hand, she got redder not from shyness, but how hard it was to describe. She didn't know what was wrong with her at the time. That she judged this pill to be first grade, she now felt embarrassed when she thought about how she declared her verdict. Despite all that, she had no choice but to proceed. Young Master Song refined an appetite pill. She then lifted it way up high, letting its fragrance drift about. However, the crowd was silent before bursting out in laughter. Ha ha ha, is that even a pill? He is a cheat after all. That thing is not even a first-grade pill. They give it to children to help digestion. Is that what you call a pill? I can make a handful of them in less than a minute. I won't accept it if he wins with this. The crowd was getting rowdy again. Xiao Lian was scared. Because this was her judgment. She couldn't avoid punishment. She turned her hateful glare at Zhuo Fan, blaming him. Any random quack on the streets could make this appetite pill. Why did she have to speak out for the most basic pill? She didn't know, but Iris Overseer knew fully well. He must have used bewitching whispers. He used it first on Dandan and now on Xiao Lian, in the third layer of qi condensation. Humph, this brat is on a crooked path. Peony Overseer snorted. Damn girl, you always have that dopey look on your face. Are you still under his spell? Master, Senior Aunt undid it for me. Blushing, Xiao Dandan watched Peony Overseer shyly. Then her eyes looked pitiful when she turned to Zhuo Fan. Actually, I couldn't be happier if he used it on me again. Peony Overseer held her forehead and sighed. What's so charming about that brat? That got her brash disciple so smitten. Chu Qingqing didn't mind, only sighed. Bewitching whispers isn't important. What matters now is that Song you failed to become the winner. The vicious Pill King will once again condescend us. The only thing that changed is turning cheating into Xiao Lian's mistake. The scene played out as what Chu Qingqing had said. Xiao Ye gestured for the excited crowd to calm down. Forgive us. This is a mistake on our disciple's part. The first place in the first round will... Wait. Zhuo Fan waved and eyed her from the side. Judge, you're not taking my appetite pill for a first-grade pill. Ha ha ha, you call that a pill? Yan Fu cut Xiao Ye off before she could reply with his ridicule, and made those around him laugh. Thousands of scornful pairs of eyes bore into Zhuo Fan. You dare come to a competition with such a pill? You must have been blind. Perking the corner of his mouth, Zhuo Fan looked past the mockery sent his way and spoke matter-of-factly at Yan Fu. Then please, O the best alchemist of Pill King Hall, vicious Pill King's prize pupil, young Master Yan Fu, enlighten me. Just what exactly is the appetite pill? Of course it's... Yan Fu suddenly froze. He recalled something, but he didn't get the chance to continue snickering. Zhuo Fan turned to the crowd, finally resting his cold smile on Yan Fu. What, cat got your tum? Ha ha ha. Then let me refresh your memory. There are 12 pill grades, and first grade is the lowest. I can just throw the ingredients in the fire, and, as long as it's refined, the least it'll be is first grade. The hubbub stopped in a flash, from the sheer shock his words implied. Even the faces of those mocking him froze, yet their eyes were bulging out of their sockets. Why didn't I think of that? Because the appetite pill was that easy, that simple, even a normal person could make it. This made the alchemists look past it, but by definition, the lowest grade of pill could be his first grade. As long as the ingredients were refined, it was called a pill. Even the abaton of the barrel pill is considered to be first grade. Speaking of it, from this point of view, the appetite pill was undeniably a goddamned first grade pill. Although, for everyone else, getting the first place in the 100-pill meeting with such a lame pill was too insulting. This led to everyone turning to Xiao Ye to hear her verdict. Xiao Ye fell on pins and needles. Every single one of the participants here gave their all, even with a first-grade pill. They all wanted to excel. Who could have foreseen such a weirdo use the lowest of the lowest pill to compete in the meeting? And to top it all off, he fucking won. Giving him first place would make the other alchemists feel unfair. So Xiao Ye could only compromise. Young Master Song, your pill may have somewhat fulfilled the bare minimum, but the first pill is mine. Zhuo Fan cut her short, his haughty attitude, led Vicious Pill King to feel newfound rage for him. "You little prick, are you that shameless? You already cleared a spot, so don't push it. That appetite pill may be a first grade, but it's the worst there is. It can't get any lower than this." "Isn't the worst also a first grade?" The judge clearly stated. "Refine a first-grade pill and compete in speed. Each of you are morons. You didn't listen to the rules and tried to refine a great pill. Who's to blame for your loss? There's no way I'm giving up my spot." Zhuo Fan's attitude was beyond arrogant and earned the ire of every alchemist. But they had no words to refute. They could only stomp in hatred. Son of a bitch! Why couldn't I have found the loophole in the rules? This damn runt used it instead. I could refine an appetite pill even faster than him. Dismay flowed like a river in the hearts of each of the thousands of alchemists. But who could blame them? The opportunity to win was right there in front of them. But they did not see it so. They chose to direct all their anger onto Zhuo Fan. They looked at him as their worst enemy. It was fine if he had used real skill to win. But Zhuo Fan just got the biggest advantage, a cheap trick to get in front of them. None of them could ever accept it. All their killing intent seemed to fly right past Zhuo Fan, who found the time to even smile. "Oh my, you know what they say. Envy of talent and all that. It seems that yours truly has been pretty outstanding so far." The crowd was a powder keg primed and ready to blow. "Shao!" You shook her head helplessly. "Young Master Song, I've seen my fair share of shameless people, but you're the worst by far." What are talking about? This is yours truly, nature." Zhuo Fan grinned. "They didn't consider their own nature, while yours truly is the most at peace with myself. I earned first place, prop and all." Seeing him tooting his horn, Shao Ye felt sick and no longer paid attention to this dissolute young master. The alchemists looked down on him. He had no skill, they thought. He used a crooked path, they thought. He'd be washed up next round. They thought the one man among them looked at him with a stern face. It was none other than the newly kicked in fifth spot, Lu Yijin. He was just like the others at first, mocking Zhuo Fan for saying the end justified his demeaning means, taking him for an incompetent fool. But Zhuo Fan leaked the fact the first round wasn't about speed, but one's mind, a test to their nature. This shocked him, and he began to look at Zhuo Fan with different eyes. Were there even a handful among these thousands of alchemists who caught the test's real meaning? Yet this immoral young master saw through it with a glance. Was he perhaps a hidden gem, a grand alchemy genius? If so, then refining the appetite pill may not have been his limit. Only complying with the rules, Lu Yijin no longer wore a casual expression, but one of dead seriousness. The Tianyu Empire had many talents crop up in recent years. Not only the Vicious Pill King's prize pupil, Yan Fu, but now this outstanding genius as well. This would make the 100-pill meeting more intense by the second. I thought getting third would be all right, but by the looks of things, I might not even make it to the 5th place. Grandmaster Lu started sinking into depression, refining all his life. He never achieved anything great, and many outstanding youngsters kept overtaking him. It was sad and regretful. Although I do not wish to, I still must declare young Master Song as the first-place winner of this round. Not paying attention to the old man's lament, nor Zhuo Fan's true strength, Shao Ye declared with a sigh in an instant. Everyone hissed Zhuo Fan couldn't care less, grinning at them. To him, they were just a blind fool with no future. Vicious Pill King snorted. "You had it easy this time, but I will throw you out the next round." "Humph, can you?" After a sneer, Zhuo Fan turned around and pointed at the words on his back with pride. "Take a good look, you're just the Vicious Pill King, while I am Heaven-toppling Pill." Vicious Pill King laughed coldly. "You think wearing a dead man's cloak will help you? Ha ha ha. Chu Qingtian was a genius, but couldn't compare to me in alchemy. Heaven-toppling Pill is just his own egotistical words. Speaking of it, his death at the hands of my antidote is proof of how naive and immature he was." "Yen Song, is that formula truly fake?" Tao Danyang couldn't help but ask. Yen Song snickered. "Would you be looking like this if it weren't?" That foolish kid, didn't know his limits, stole my formula and ended up killing himself with it, taking down others with him. Getting beaten to death by Drifting Flowers Edifice's people was his just deserts. Tao Danyang clenched her fists, her eyes burning with anger. I have worked 3 years on it, only to find out it's fake. Up on the terrace, Chu Qingqing bit her lip as the killing intent in her eyes grew. It was thanks to the 2 overseers stopping her that she didn't charge at Yen Song Longjia's side. He understood Chu Qingqing's feelings. Who could stand to watch their most hated enemy that put their little brother to death continue to humiliate him? Zhuo Fan then said something that left them speechless. Yet here I am, standing before you in his cloak. His tone was calm and looked at Yen Song with a challenging grin. Yen Song couldn't help but clench his fists, his eyes gradually reddening, burning with endless rage. Chapter 131 Qing Tian's Final Wish. Chapter 131 Qing Tian's Final Wish. Challenge. Yes, a naked challenge. Not only that, but it also promised retribution for the departed. Zhuo Fan's words were blunt. He wore Qing Tian's cloak right in front of Yen Song. That meant he was going to surpass Yen Song as an alchemist in Qing Tian's stead. How could the best alchemist in the empire, Vicious Pill King, take this lying down? But that wasn't the most important thing right now. If Zhuo Fan said it 15 minutes ago, he would have laughed, calling him still a child that didn't know his limits now. After the first round, Zhuo Fan stood in the first place, the place he took from Yen Song, even if one disregarded the stunt he pulled in the first round. The fact he spoke as such was truly shocking, because in truth he was standing ahead of the Vicious Pill King, and because it was the truth, it angered Yen Song. Never had there been a case where someone stood ahead of him. Yet this man somehow did it, while also openly challenging him if he were to take this down. He would no longer be Vicious Pill King. The silence was deafening. The people watched dumbfounded, as if they forgot to even breathe. Zhuo Fan earned the first place through devious tricks, and was now challenging the Vicious Pill King. Was he tired of living? None could understand, not even the people on the terrace. Only Chu Qingqing bit her lip as tears glistened in her eyes. Thank you. She knew Zhuo Fan did this all for her. Whether he won or not, he would challenge Vicious Pill King in her stead. This was Qing Tian's final wish as Chui Qing Tian's elder sister. She has never managed to do it, but Zhuo Fan had. Chu Qingqing's gaze on Zhuo Fan turned passionate. At that moment, this man was a third-rated clan young master, but he was willing to give everything for her. It was not wrong of her to entrust her dignity to this man. He and Qing Tian were the same, albeit a bit more immoral. Chu Qingqing's heart felt as if it was beating out of her chest. What she didn't know was that Zhuo Fan did all this mostly because of the Bodhi Jade Sap, all because the Grand Demonic Emperor did not owe favors. Ha ha ha. Someone has the nerve to challenge the great Vicious Pill King. This is the first time it happened to Elder Yen, so he must be pissed. In the eastern stand, Huangpu Qingyin smiled as he looked around. The others nodded, with Hell Valley's 5th elder joining him. Ha ha ha. That old bag of bones. Yen Song considered everyone beneath him. How satisfying to see an ignorant pup mock him to such a degree. Huangpu Qingyin nodded in glee, his eyes shining. It seems we won't be needed to deal with this kid. Once Elder Yen wins the next round, with his temper, he would immediately kill him. Second young master is right. The kid will die after the second round. He challenged Elder Yen. So even if he ended dead, Drifting Flowers Edifice has no grounds to blame Elder Yen and second young master. Young Miss Qingqing won't feel any more resentment towards you. Lin Zitian fawned with a smile. It had to be said, his words hit the nail on the head. Huangpu Qingyin gave a satisfied nod in the arena. Assaulted by Zhuo Fan's contemptuous challenge, Vicious Pill King was trembling from rage. He took deep breaths to force it down, but his face had become frightening. Rotten punk, you want to challenge me in Chu Qingtian's stead? Zhuo Fan shook his head in mockery. Old coot, get real. Me challenge you? Bam. Suddenly, Zhuo Fan stomped on the alchemy table, jarring the ears of the others with the noise. Then he proudly declared, "Take a good look. I am in first place. Isn't it more accurate to say that you're the challenger? You." The vicious Pill King was so pissed his vision blurred, his hair whipped about. He knew the punk was insufferable, but clearly didn't know by how much. With a bit of luck and a clever mind, this punk thought it was enough to flaunt as the best in the Empire, and get to make the vicious Pill King challenge him. The vicious Pill King's chest shook with every breath, rancor dripping from every word. "Little prick, you're more insufferable than Chu Ching Tian. But most arrogant people don't end well." "Ha ha ha, the ending isn't based on arrogance but strength." Giving him a side glance, Zhuo Fan coldly smiled, stomping on the table again. "Take this table from me, and you'll be the best in the Empire." "Humph, I intend to." "Then let's add one more condition. If you can take this spot, I will offer you my head." The people froze. Betting one's life in a mere pill competition? Or did the kid know his end would be bleak after offending the vicious Pill King and decided to go for broke? Chu Qingqing and the rest became grave. Huang Pu Qingyun sighed, laughed even harder than before. This justified it even more when the kid lost his head. Long Zhou's group was anxious. Why is this brat playing such a dangerous game? As to how cautious Zhuo Fan was, he wouldn't use such arrogant words easily. Xiao Dandan was so worried she was on the verge of tears. "Master, what do we do if Darling loses? He isn't the vicious Pill King's match. Will he really die? Will I be a widow? You haven't even been with him yet." "What widow nonsense?" Peony Overseer cursed. "This kid is so stubborn he doesn't know what he's saying. Now, when he loses, we won't be able to save him." The Dong siblings watched everything blankly. Where did Bro get all that courage from? Is he still the same Song Yui know? Ignoring the clamor, the vicious Pill King sported an insidious smile. "Hey, it's you who said it, punk. Don't go begging me later for mercy. Enough with the boasting, brat. Yen Song is an elder and you are wrong about him. Take back those jokes and he won't argue with you either." Because of Chu Qingqing's relation with him, Tao Danyang gave Zhuo Fan a signal to pull him out of this mess. Zhuo Fan seemed to have turned a deaf to her help, upping the ante. He turned to everyone. "My word is gold. It's not just for the old guy, but it applies to anyone. Whoever takes my place, yours truly will present his head." "What?" The crowd exploded again. He wasn't just challenging one man, the vicious Pill King, to settle grudges, but all of them more aptly put, a challenge towards all alchemists in Tianyu. He was obviously looking to establish himself in the 100-pill meeting as the best alchemist in the Empire, but putting the vicious Pill King aside. Does a snot-nosed brat have anything to back those words? In a blink, the scene erupted. All the alchemists were now glaring at him, becoming the public enemy #1. They only felt mockery at first, but now it vanished, with anger replacing it. Vicious Pill King smiled evilly. "You're digging your own funeral." Tao Danyang shook her head. She could not understand what Chu Qingqing found in this reckless brat. He stirred the crowd into focusing their anger on him on Huang Pu Qingyun's side. They were laughing with glee. After all, Zhuo Fan had turned himself into the target of everyone's hatred. He was begging to be put down. Meanwhile, the two overseers sighed. "Damn rotten brat, are you that hard-headed?" Chu Qingqing was confused about it all. Song Yu was brash, but not to this extent. Then Zhuo Fan looked at her and pointed at the words on his back with a smile. Chu Qingqing seemed to have been struck by lightning. She was shaking all over as tears flowed unabated. "Qingqing, what's wrong?" Iris Overseer asked in worry. Chu Qingqing watched Zhuo Fan from afar and muttered, "I was the one who was wrong all along." "How?" Peony Overseer asked with a bright smile. Chu Qingqing replied, "I always thought Qingqing's last wish was revenge, to surpass vicious Pill King in alchemy. But I was wrong. He only ever wanted one thing, a heaven-toppling pill, to be the best alchemist in the whole world." The familiar cloak left Chu Qingqing laughing, despising herself. "I made that cloak myself. but never truly understood Qingqing's heart, while Song Yu knew, just from a glance. I am not qualified to be his elder sister. What Song Yu is doing this to fulfill Qingtian's final wish. The overseers exchanged a glance, then looked at Zhuo Fan's back. Feeling that this thin figure had grown in their eyes, they always said men were unreliable, but there was a man here and now that dared take on the whole world for the woman he loved. They could only have respect for him. And their eyes also hid something stirring deep within. The vicious Pill King was the first in the empire. Everyone knew that, but no one could reach him. The brat fulfilled Chu Qingtian's wish, but now he was on a road of no return. This puncture knows how to draw hatred. The three were startled to find Xie Tianyang grinning. You're saying the kid first humiliated Yen Song, and then plans on taking his head? To make him lose in his refining, then fly into a rage over his failure as an excuse to take his life? And this brother is truly cunning. I presume he has what it takes to win. Long Jiu caressed his beard. Humph, Uncle Jiu. You expect too much of him again. He may win against others, but how can he win against the vicious Pill King, the best in the empire? Long Kuei grumbled. I only see this brat being afraid of losing. He will most likely use the opportunity when Yen Song is busy refining to end his life. Someone like him won't possibly accept a loss at this point, especially if he has to throw his face away. They all had to nod at this. Zhuo Fan had always been cool-headed, while also engaging in underhanded tactics more often than not. Sneak attacks, while refining, wasn't beneath him as they discussed. Peony Overseer cursed. Uncle Joe, I thought you are on Drifting Flowers Edifice's side. Yet when we are facing a calamity, you are taking joy in our plight. Long Jiu was startled and knew they misunderstood. Xie Tianyang watched the angry Chu Qingqing and Xiao Dandan. Edifice, Lord Chu, Lady Dandan, we don't mean any insult for that fellow. We were only talking. Suddenly his eyes shined, and he gave a vague smile. Also, sister-in-law, it doesn't look like you've seen the true face of your husband yet. You better watch closely. You'll surely get the fright of your lives. He may look docile near you, but in fact he is the devil. No less than vicious Pill King. Ha ha ha. They were startled, clueless to his meaning. Then a ding sound off and the second round began. Chapter 132. Secret Refining Skill. Ninth Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Chapter 132. Secret Refining Skill. Ninth Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Ding. Xiaoya shook the bell in her hand. Earning everyone's attention, it seemed Zhui Fan's cocky attitude from before chilled even this lady. Being a judge of the 100-pill meeting, held every few decades, was her arrogance, pride, and honor then. Zhui Fan showed up halfway, with his bag of devious tricks to throw everything in disarray. His endless, smug attitude cut her glory down a few levels from honor to a nobody. That was what she became. A judge would have kicked out such an incompetent fool on the spot. Zhuo Fan's logic made an irritating good point that left her speechless. She had to concede the first place to this silk pants. His sloppy and conceited manner earned the rage of all alchemists and her hatred. But any other option, she could only rein it in and work hard to calm down. She then announced the second round. To hurry up and get rid of this brat, the second round's objective is a third-grade pill. Xiaoya's clear voice echoed, and her eyes shined with splendor, talking about making a third-grade pill when most of them here were third-grade alchemists. But just then, the Drifting Flowers Edifice disciples accompanying them presented a storage ring. Xiaoya spoke while they were in a stupor. I ask that everyone refines with Drifting Flowers Edifice's ingredients, as to avoid any cheating from occurring. But they're all second-grade ingredients. Is this some kind of a mistake? Someone already voiced his doubts, just as Xiaoya finished. And once there was one, many followed. Xiaoya ignored them. The main test of this round is pill quality, followed by speed. The first 50 will advance, while the rest will be eliminated. Hey, Judge, all you gave me are ingredients for a second-grade pill. How do you want me to refine a third-grade pill? While the back was complaining, the first 20 alchemists sneered as they ignited their yuan qi flame. These morons still didn't get what this round was about. It wasn't testing their ability to make a third-grade pill, but their formulas. Normally, a third-grade pill could be made with the appropriate ingredients of the same grade. But that does not mean third-grade pills could not be made with second-grade pill ingredients. It was just that usual refining method most were used to would not work in such cases. For such a leap in grade, the refining of the ingredients needed to complement one another, boosting each of their effects to create a third-grade pill. This test was aimed at an alchemist's formulas. How many one had drifting flowers edifice gave a ring filled with second-grade pill ingredients. It was only expected to be possible to refine 5 types of third-grade pill from them after the ingredients were handed out. What mattered now was how they could extract their effects. To make the ingredients suitable for refining a third-grade pill, the first 20 alchemists had such formulas aplenty. The back alchemists, though, were pulling their hairs out in frustration, with some still barking at the Drifting Flowers edifice. Drifting Flowers edifice's disciples kept silent when receiving their rants, but held disdain in their eyes. Zhuo Fan was toying with the ring, thinking which formula to pick. The others were vexed they knew too few formulas, while Zhuo Fan was also vexed. It was for the opposite reason, though. He had too many to choose from, which to use to make that vicious pill king take the loss lying down. Young Master Song. Xiao Yu watched him in delight over his misfortune. The others have already started. How is it that the first place hasn't as well? You can't mean you can't even refine a third-grade pill, right? The kid's skill might not be as awful as you think. It was Vicious Pill King who answered first, with his mockery. He must be still doubting why you gave him such low ingredients. Ha! The other 20 alchemists laughed along with him. Tao Danyang shook her head, focusing on her own refining. In the end, this bag of bones will be the one who will compete with Vicious Pill King. Yet, there was one man alone who wasn't laughing. He was watching Zhuo Fan's every move. It was Lu Yizhen. He believed Zhuo Fan was more than he led others to believe. Raising an eyebrow, Zhuo Fan smiled towards the crowd. Ha ha ha, yours truly thought that as the winner, and in first place it was poor manners from my part to pick on a bunch of newbies. But since you are so eager to lose to me, yours truly will open your horizon in the true field of alchemy. This remark only earned their glares. Where did this punk come from? Calling us newbies? Absurd. After that, they were all watching dumbstruck, Secret Refining Art, Ninth Heaven Roaring Dragon Claw. Zhuo Fan spoke in his heart, then his eyes flashed. His finger beckoned tens of ingredients into the air as a yuan qi flame ignited in his palm. A roar echoed as the flame took the shape of a dragon and sped towards the ingredients. It opened its maw and swallowed the first ingredient. The item was refined in an instant, becoming pure medicinal liquid. The shock was palpable as everyone watched amazed, even the alchemists around. What goddamned refining skill is this that can refine an ingredient in an instant? Even the great Vicious Pill King, despite his fastest speed, could only do it after minding every step. The least he could do was make it visible how the ingredients were refined, but Zhuo Fan's action seemed to go against all alchemical laws, refining the ingredient in a blink of an eye. While others were hard at work in their refining, he had refined them all. Roar! With another yell, the blazing dragon turned the ingredients into a paste. It then turned into a fire tornado and revolved in Zhuo Fan's palm. The dozens of ingredients ebbed calmly among the flames. Separated from each other, all that Zhuo Fan had to do was put them together and finish the pill. He was in no hurry, apparently watching over the others coldly. Newbies, yours truly's refining hasn't evolved to your mime show. You have still much to learn to reach my level. He was as obnoxious as before, but this time his words struck their core. Before, they mocked him for boasting and his immoral character. Now he was the one reprimanding them as a superior alchemist. They had no room to refute. Even Vicious Pill King was stupefied. This reckless brat possessed a miraculous refining skill, a skill Not even the best in the empire could fathom. Master, what is this skill? Yen Fu stammered vicious Pill King, tried many times to speak, but settled to rebuke him and hide in humiliation instead. Mind your pill. Don't ask so many questions. Yet his heart felt like bleeding, and for the first time he turned serious when he saw Zhuo Fan, hiding a hint of killing intent in his eyes this time. Zhuo Fan had become a real threat to him as the best alchemist in the empire. Zhuo Fan noticed everything, but wasn't of a mind to care. He kept on belittling vicious Pill King as he pointed at the firestorm in his palm. Elder Yen, if you don't hurry up, yours truly will get the first place again. Flushed, vicious Pill King's beard began to quaver. His chest moved with ragged breaths, but he didn't utter a word. He was truly and utterly speechless. He could not accept it, but he knew it was the truth. In the host terrace, Chu Qingqing was shocked silly. Zhuo Fan made it possible to even leave the vicious Pill King without words of reprisal. The fact the vicious Pill King was now solemn against Zhuo Fan's challenge meant that he admitted in his heart that what Zhuo Fan said was true, despite not voicing it out. Amazing. Darling is the best. Xiao Dandin's delicate face was red as she danced in joy. Iris Overseer was still lost, finding it hard to believe. Am I dreaming? Did that brat outshine the vicious Pill King? Yeah, we never took him seriously. Peony Overseer blinked, then sighed at the Iris Overseer. Senior sister, pinch me. I think I'm still dreaming. How is he able to do this? Shaking her head, Iris Overseer turned to Chu Qingqing. Qingqing, did you know of this? Is that why you chose him as your husband? How can our great edifice, Lord, marry a third-rate clan young master otherwise? Chu Qingqing's cheeks turned pink and rolled her eyes. Senior sister, don't tease me. I was so saddened at the time, thinking only about living and dying with Drifting Flowers edifice. I could not trust anyone, but then I met him. He was so similar to Qingtian, and I threw all my faith to him. I saw his miraculous refining skill once, but never thought for a second he could shut the grand, vicious Pill King up. The overseers were shocked. This kid is truly unpredictable. Sighing, Iris Overseer looked around. At the least, the Drifting Flowers edifice's survival can be entrusted to someone. I hope he and Aunt Tao can dispel the imminent disaster facing the Drifting Flowers edifice. Chu Qingqing and Peony Overseer nodded, watching Zhuo Fan's smug face. For some odd reason, Chu Qingqing felt at peace, a foreign feeling over the last few years. Perhaps this is what it means to lean on someone. Chu Qingqing's gaze on Zhuo Fan grew even warmer.